every Thursday. The scene is set in the realm of thoughts where minds are met. They're the thinkers with brains on the brink. Every Thursday they're doing a thing with that darn Kitteh as the fearless lead. That fought through by her side, they plant the seed with Dorkus guiding through dungeons deep, and Grey Coupe spreads it on steep. Bmo's crush ghosts like magic in the air to press Hydra's expertise beyond compare. Charles manages the box office with grace, while other guests add to the lively space. In a world of thoughts where minds collide, the thinkers gather their wits as their guide. From deep contemplation to laughter's embrace, every Thursday is their special place.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening, good night.
Good meowing, I think you mean. Although Kitteh is not here, we must honor her.
Ah, and
Meowing.
fashionably late yet on time.
Always.
Is Hydra.
Yeah. Apologies.
We were sitting backstage wondering where you were, Hydra.
I had to do some IRL stuff real quick. I'm sorry.
How dare
Wow.
Windows are not going to open and close themselves. I don't have a smartphone yet. Maybe in the future sometime. Once we inevitably get to like 10 million subscribers and we're all super rich, clearly. That's going to happen.
you? When you're super
Now-
rich, can I have some?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
We are sadly missing out on Kitteh this day. She is still amidst her travels, but she has allowed us to take the reins today.
To destroy her analytics.
Exactly. Kitty got catnapped through the tragic. So anyway, I started blasting. No, she's just
Well said.
circumnavigating the Horn of Africa right now.
Yes. Instead,
Something about
of-
being horny in Africa.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
oh, absolutely, we're destroying the channel today.
We take no
at some point we
responsibility
might
for
get-
what state the YouTube channel will be in once she returns.
This is going to
See-
be pretty hard to do.
You say ruin the reputation, but there has to be a reputation to begin with.
Exactly.
But how are we doing, gentlemen?
I'm all right. Lots of exciting game topics to discuss today.
Yes, there's been a bunch going on, but I'm sure that we'll be able to cover some of it. Oh, thanks. for your
Be
advice.
worse thinker. Oh boy.
You're sorry.
I'm
not to
striking
have you here.
solidarity with Kitty. What is? Oh my god. Oh no. Now I feel horrible.
You know, everyone loves to watch an accident happen on the road. All right, like it's like watching it in slow motion. So
That's
I
what's
can
going to
get
happen
that.
here. An inevitable car wreck live.
exactly, that's like watching a train hit someone. You know,
It's
like
a
watch-
looming disaster. You know you know it's coming and you are watching it live.
it's fantastic. So, Hydra, how
Yes.
you doing?
Much better. I've been really unwell recently. Still not as bad as last year when it was much worse. I think it's almost 1 year anniversary of me just having just extremely
Issues?
dangerously bad health. But so much better than I used to be, but still not as good. But I mean, I'm okay right now. I can be here. I can babble on about the important things in life, you know.
Okay. So, what I heard is you're objectively better than last year,
Yes,
and that's a good thing.
that is a good thing because last year my health was so bad that I had like a life-threatening moments of just prolonged, incredibly high fever, etc. Just horrible health situation. So much better these days.
Absolutely.
Thankfully.
Oh, that's a good question, Paffy. But that's not the think we're doing today.
But we
So
will submit it to the Council of Thinkers, and perhaps next week we will have an official vote. It might be vetoed through the system, but it will be
All of
brought.
this assumes that we survive our next meeting with the Council of Thinkers when they find out what we did to the channel while they weren't here.
the Council of Reeds, yes. Specifically, actually, that is a fun question. So what I'll do is I'll forget that you said it, and I'll act like I came up with it myself.
Excellent. But speaking of the Council of Reeds, Bmo, you wanted to talk about Marvel Rivals today.
Yes, I did. I've been playing that game. I hate it because it's a hero shooter. If if anyone hasn't played it, if you've played Overwatch, you've played this game. It plays very similarly, but I feel like it's a perfected version of it, as in it hasn't been esports is a good way to put it, where everything slowly turns into you must play the most optimal way to play the game, otherwise you're not playing the game.
Do you even meta, bro?
No, honestly.
Relaxing, having fun, playing in a fun way on your own way, not meta-maxing, not macro managing. How many inputs per second, bro? What is wrong with you?
See, Artoria Pendragon 21 has a great example of what I mean. You can see the characters, so of course you should get skins. Like it's a great thing.
Hi, Lucy.
Hey, Lucy. So
Hello.
I wanted to contrast the character design here with Concord.
They are similar games, right? They both take the Overwatch model.
Somewhat. They do something with the Overwatch model, which I hate to call it the Overwatch model because it's technically the Team Fortress 2 model.
Yes, but yeah, it is, but still, it's just it has grown since then in directions that I personally don't like. But hey, that's just me. Also, Concord and Marvel Rivals both have dark secrets just below the surface. Ooh.
Okay. We can get into those in a second here. I'm going to share the design of some Concord characters first. So then we can contrast them with the myriad of pictures I took, because I don't know how well my stream quality is going to be. So I'm not sure if it would work for me to just open up the game and just show you guys the roster. Even though like the game is free, I actually do recommend people go and give it a try. All right, so let's see. I do literally have a Marvel Rivals folder, yes. All right. Share my screen here.
I was there when it was being made.
They are all pictures of Invisible Girl. But she's invisible, so you don't actually know that she... Yeah.
She's a woman.
She's a woman. Hey, she is a married lady.
Kinky Hydra? What, Lucy? Where did this come from? What did I do to deserve this?
We've seen these characters before. We've talked about
too many times. Too many times we have seen these faces, I say.
But I will show you guys. So, like some of the character designs here.
That's a little bit more unique in terms, like compared to the rest.
Oh yeah,
relatively okay. I would say.
I kind of like this design personally. I think it goes a lot harder than some of the other ones.
The cylinder thing, I like it a lot, and that it has the little thermal camera on the
This
top,
is the one that everyone's attacked and
Yeah.
said that this is awful, and I think it's for good reasons, because of when you look at this character. Let me go back. Where is it going to show? Come on. I had to pick a video because all of the articles showing these characters did not show full body. It was awful. So a fundamental thing to make good character design is to make a good
this is a
silhouette.
fundamental problem that you made. You assume that articles online are going to give you or show you relevant information.
I'm pretty sure that
Fatal
most of the
mistake
ones
right
that
there.
most of the articles I found were, let's say, AI generated, maybe. Like they weren't even making sense in the articles. It was awful. But going back to on subject here, this character has a really strange looking silhouette. If you were to black the entire character out with a white background, it would be hard to tell what's going on. Like the anatomy doesn't make sense.
That's really bad, not just for art reasons, but for gameplay reasons too, by the way.
Exactly.
Because hero shooters, especially in Team Fortress 2, by the way, there is a great video on this song, I remember, where they had to go into significant detail on how to make the character silhouettes and bodies unique, because you got to recognize it immediately, snap movement, react appropriately. Just by looking at the character, you won't be able to take in all of the details and immediately. That's not how your brain works within just a millisecond. It just looks at the general shape of the thing, and from that you have to assume capability and then select the correct counter, etc. So from just the gameplay perspective, it is really important for different characters to look different just on a cursory glance and have a unique shape at the very least.
See, Big Hero 6 has a fantastic silhouette for reasons of shape language.
Squarehead.
Very
Let's
good
go.
shape language. Speaking of shape language, at least
why does it look like she's wearing
this
plastic tubes, by the way? Like the previous one also looked very plasticky.
It seems like that's the sort of aesthetic that they're going for, which is a weird,
are they fighting in a junkyard where they just pick
kind
up
of
stuff? Yeah, then it makes
kind
sense.
of the vibe it gives. At least this person, if you were to black out the entire thing, would have a recognizable silhouette because of the distinct head shape. I just think that the bucket hat looks really, really weird.
I'm also not really loving the color scheme of the last couple of
it's
champions.
I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it's an unpleasant color combination with light
I don't think
pink,
that this is a
orange,
bad design per
green.
se. Honestly, it's specifically that like the way that it works is trying to fold in with the aesthetic of the rest of the game, and you just saw what the last person looked like. This could also sit next to the big cylinder robot and fit. And that's kind of important to make sure that there's consistency in the art style. But this is
if they are part of like the same faction, then it would really make sense, or like have some sort of connection.
Then we get into this boy. What? Why'd you go back? This makes no sense. Go back. This is Star Child. Star Child looks fine. I think in terms of design, you can definitely tell if you were to black him out completely what he is. He's a big gorilla man.
Dude. Yep.
He's a big gorilla man. Like that's what he looks like to me.
Kind of like Thanos, a not great Doomsday. Oh, Thanos, yeah.
Thanos, Doomsday. It's big guy aesthetic. This is the person that a lot of people have gone for. This is Baz. I'm not going to go through all the characters, by the way. It's just that this is showing just the design decisions that they made here.
This is not how you make someone look who is like an agile character. You know, I don't even know how to properly. You know what it actually reminds me of all things? Titanfall 2. The different pilots that have the different abilities, they have just not as big of a shape difference, but they do have unique looks. And when you select a pilot that has a grappling hook, it has that agile look about them, not this like bulky, like you have some squares over here, some outgoing pieces, rectangles there. They have a more so slim look. If you select like, what was it, the Steam or the Phase Shift pilot, they have this more so robotic rectangle look. Or if you select the cloak or shield wall, you have this more so bulky, maybe even wearing furs. I think the cloak one was wearing something like that. Like, you need to there is something intuitive
Pendragon,
about
I
the
agree.
human brain when they look at something. This thing is supposed to be agile, but it would get stuck on things really easily because of all these weird
The
jagged
shoes have
edges.
popped collars, popped up collars.
Yeah.
It's like they're just, I can't unsee it.
If you want, you need to be able to look at the character and not just intuit how they behave, but also what they do, and make it be immersive and understandable. This is not how you make an agile. This is not how an agile character looks. Especially not just no. I'm sorry, just no.
Well, I actually agree with you, Gray, on this design here. I think that this is the closest to being a good design in this game. There's one other character that has a solid design. I think this is one that just needed a little more time in the oven. This is what I said about this character before. I like the type of aesthetic that they're going for, but I don't feel like it matches the art style that they're trying to do. The really big puffy shoulders, if they maybe tightened in the silhouette a little bit, made her a little more hourglass, maybe it could look different, but this is just for this one angle.
I feel like
But
there's
I
a
think
little bit of
overall, she looks all right.
Yeah,
I
the
think she looks
like
good.
I feel like there's a little bit of 80s, wannabe 80s going on there mixed with the Jetsons.
Yeah,
sure.
and that in itself is not bad. And the look is like, if you were to just look at the clothing pieces, the headgear, or even the entire character, it's not necessarily a bad look for a character. It just doesn't quite fit within how it's supposed to behave in game, in my opinion. Like, if you were to give this look to a
Now we're getting
character in
some
a
more
movie
unique
or something,
designs.
that would be completely fine.
I don't see
It's a
anything wrong with
Navi.
this design. Yeah,
It is an
Navi too.
Navi.
Similar feel to Apex, but worse. Yes, but kind of. That's actually a pretty good description. See, this is where we're getting into designs that they could be good if there was a little more defining characteristics.
Yeah. Like, I see the oversized helmet compared to the symbol. It gives this kind of very like alien look, you know, the stereotypical little green man or just oversized bobblehead. You could do something here.
I don't dislike this one. I wonder if if she had a cape of some kind that was like meant to double as camouflage in some way. I bet that would give her a sort of a desert punk vibe.
Just, the helmet alone does not really make this person feel like a distinct character to me.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
Silhouette wise, they have a recognizable silhouette because they look like a woman with big head. That's about it.
I think, I wish I could bring up a picture.
Timu Samus, let's go.
It reminds me of the Sophons from Endless Space 2. I think like the kind of big bulbous head and slim body aesthetic, you could really do something good here. I don't know if anybody recalls that, or if anybody played Endless Space 2 and know how the Sophons look like.
I did not.
You have a really good aesthetic there for this exact kind of bulbous head, slim bodies.
It's a doable thing. Like, some of these aren't bad. Like, I don't think that
there are good ideas here.
either.
Yes, like clearly that if you put all of this up like as a concept art for me, as in a project I'm working on, I would be saying like, you have a bunch of great ideas here. You should implement this test way or that this way, and you know there are a couple of things that needs to be trimmed or altered. But I can see that somebody had inspiration and was going for things. I like that. Like there were. It's just, it's really the feeling I'm getting that you said just needed more time in the oven. You can really kind of see the opportunities and the potentials in some of these designs here and there if you look at some of the details close in. But it feels like it was spat out as is from like the very first concept art or the very first. Somebody just imagined the character, immediately drew them, and that's it. That's went into the final design immediately. Like that's what it feels like to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because this is basically relatively the same design as that one character from Overwatch who is just an old lady with a sniper rifle. It's very close. I forget her name though. But yeah, this very much, I like the general design, I'm also biased towards purple and capes.
You're
But
not
like
the
I
only
said,
one.
when it comes to the art style of this game, there's something that just muddies it all together.
The
There's
colors,
very
I think it's
little
the colors. I
in the
don't know
roster.
why.
There's very little in the roster that makes these characters feel distinctly Concord, other than, oh, that's the game that failed. So we're going to move over to one more here. I actually like this design here once it moves over, because this character feels like they fit
Jin.
with the other person wearing red.
Yep.
There's a consistency there. Maybe they come from the same faction.
Yeah,
They
you
also
can lean
remind
into
me
that.
of
Yeah.
Alucard from what the hell is it called?
From-
Helsing.
Helsing, yeah.
Yeah, mainly because the eyes and the wide brim hat, but aesthetically they can match with the other characters in the game.
Yeah, like there are those it's almost begging to be connected. Like we just said, maybe they come from the same faction. Like you can do so much here if you just work on these more, you know.
But this is all to show this is okay. Like some of it I could give a 6 or 7 out of 10. Some of it I could give a 5 out of 10. It's acceptable. Some of it. I'm going to contrast that with a game that came out recently, Marvel Rivals. Because I took a lot of pictures. Let's see here. Where is it?
Yeah,
Where
a
is it?
lot of the characters in Concord don't. So many of them you could point to and just say, "Oh, that's Blitzcrank. Oh, that's Harlan. Oh, that's this and
Well, I'm
that."
gonna
And
throw
I
all
think
this
that
into the
that's
side folder.
why.
Oh, I'm doing a little bit of moving things around here.
And that speaks to a certain degree of, I think, something that a lot of people can tune into to say that there isn't anything distinctly innovative within many of these characters.
Yeah, and
They
just to be
are
clear, there is
serviceable.
nothing wrong with taking clear inspiration from other characters, but you have to do more than just that. That in itself is not enough.
Now, I'm not hating on it for its lack of originality. It's the lack of distinction. Like if you were to put this next to Gears of War, you could tell what the Gears of War characters are. You would not be able to learn pretty much anything about Concord looking at their characters, is how I feel about it. Pal World is another example, because Pal World is just, we're stealing an aesthetic and then running with it. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to go and click this. Guess I have to share my window here. I'm going to bring it down here. I'm great at this, guys. Okay, here we go.
The bestest.
Share screen. Boom. Okay. So we're starting at the top. Why did that just go? Okay. There. Oh, it's not even showing it. What the heck?
Windows 10 moment.
Hold on. I have to share the right one. Like I said, I'm great at this, guys.
Could be wrong, but if you go into the first picture you want to show and share that,
yeah, that's what
it will show that picture. And then I think if you click the left or right arrow button,
yeah,
it will work for you.
There we go. So this is Adam Warlock.
Oh, you can see the edges and like the shapes and the design. Oh yeah, there is a really good design aesthetic going on here. Look at the silhouette. Whoa, yeah, that's so clear.
The
that's
silhouette
really
is
nice.
fantastic. And aesthetically, you can actually see the way that the lighting is. They basically have baked in individual lighting for all the characters. No matter what map you're on, they will have their own special lighting showing like their aesthetic specifically. This is what fighting games do. They will actually what are they called? The guys that make Guilty Gear. They do this as well. This is their design philosophy, and it makes for very, very, very good character design. So everyone looks unique, everyone looks distinct. No one's going to not know what this character is. They are recognizable both in and out of game. Let's see. Okay. So for those that don't know who Adam Warlock is, I suggest that you watch some Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because it's a funny movie. But pretty much he is he is Space Jesus, and he is a healer. A lot of people were frustrated that he's a healer actually because he's like the most powerful character in the Marvel universe, or one of them. But going on, we've got Black Panther. Again, look at the silhouette. This dude, the presentation is really good in this game. The backlighting.
This is much more. Can I just say quickly how infinitely more this screams agility than anything from the previous ones?
And he's really annoying to fight because he jumps around like a
I'd imagine. Yeah.
Going on, because we should all know who Black Panther is, right? We've got Black Widow, which one thing I love about this game is it actually does really well on the female designs. It's just a skin suit, but if you've seen any Marvel movie with Black Widow in it, she's recognizable, and she's just a sniper.
Is that a railgun, by the way?
It is a railgun.
Yeah, I like the design of like the actually putting on the rails, really visible. I love that.
So Enstens asks, out of curiosity, will there maybe be a look at DLSS, Kaijia, path tracing, temporal AA, and associated complaints about how new games often look so bad? I don't think new games look so bad. I don't hold that opinion.
It's all games go through a natural design process where in the beginning, naturally, things have no looks, or they have really shitty looks, and everything is just a default hitbox or a cube. Because in the end, all of this is just cubes and spheres running around and doing stuff with graphics on them from a game.
Oh yeah, she's got one gigantic hair strand.
Yeah, it's even. I don't. Looking at this, I'm like, hair physics? No, what are those? But yeah, basically, it's. I think that misconceptions come from the fact that a lot of studios either decide to or are in a position where they basically release the game early or just finish the last phase of game development, the debunking and the final touch, while the game is already out, which results in people thinking, oh, new games always look shit or something, which is absolutely not the case.
No, I just think they run like shit.
Oh, run like again. Yeah, because look at something like Cyberpunk. Like the last 2 years of developments were done while the game was already out. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's just, I miss the good old days when games were released as finished products,
Oh yeah. So next we have Regular Man. Who wants to take a guess on who this is?
Regular Man.
Regular Man.
Yes, that's the superhero, Regular Man. Look, he's even got his ID.
His office. I love the office.
Dorkus actually brought up when I was taking pictures, he was like, this guy looks like Edward Norton. I agree, because it is Hulk. And I actually really like the design of this Hulk. What I like even more is the third design of this Hulk, which is when he really gets angry. This makes me think of World Breaker Hulk. And I think if you just look at the feet, look at the difference in the leg size, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you've got really skinny guy, and then we have the evolution scale. Yes, we've got the mega evolution. Look at how big the character's legs are in contrast to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But they still hold a unique silhouette that is recognizable. And then there's this freaking monster where if you were to black out this character's silhouette right now, you wouldn't even be able to see his head.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like I love it. I love it a lot, honestly. I also like
just-
playing him, so I'm a little biased.
I just want to tape a $20 bill to his back and ask him if he can reach it.
Fantastic.
He doesn't stretch after working out.
Next, we have Captain America. I have thoughts on Captain America. I think he looks like Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story.
I don't know if I like the shoulder buffness and the extra plate.
It's the armor. The armor specifically is something I don't really like. I don't want the armor. I would rather the guy be wearing the old suit. But it's just the
funny.
top part I take issue with right here, this middle torso.
I think the shield looks really cool, but I like my cap to not have a high-tech shield. I just want a slab of vibranium and call it a day.
For those that don't know, the lore of Marvel Rivals is it's $20.99. And
how are these fuckers still alive?
Super Soldier Serum / cryogenesis. So Black Widow that you just saw earlier is actually really, really old. It's just the Super Soldier Serum has made her stay young. That's the explanation. Anyways, silhouette-wise, I think it still rocks. These characters are all recognizable. It does help, and I'm going to give all the grace to Concord for this, that Concord was a brand new IP. They were trying to make something unlike anything else,
brand
and
new,
they succeeded because it failed. No one wanted it. This is something that was already recognizable. Everyone knows who Captain America is, or
and
most
there's
people know
so
who
much you can lean into because of that. Do not ever underestimate
exactly.
not even the brand recognition, just recognize symbol power.
Of the Scouts code.
Exactly.
Sorry,
I was
continue,
wondering where the
Hydra. I
voice
cut
was
you
coming
off.
from.
No, that's all. All I wanted to say is just there is so much that all of the groundwork, all of the concept art, the basic designing, all of it is already done. Like the earliest phases of game development and character design, in terms of who is going to run around and do what in the game, already done for you. So you can invest much more time into other parts of game development. Huge advantage.
Okay.
Next
So-
hero.
Next hero. We've got Cloak and Dagger. Most people have
Heroes.
not heard of this character.
These characters.
Character, actually. Because Cloak and Dagger are pretty much they're two souls sharing the same body. Technically, it's a weird lore thing. This character is from early '60s,
Sure.
and the way that it is basically they're just connected across time. I'm not completely familiar with their characters in the comics, but design-wise,
Character. They are technically one person.
yes, thank you.
I'm doing
Yeah, I know.
Dorkus will now hold a grudge, Bmo.
But I think that they're very distinct. There really is nothing to Cloak except for his cloak. He is very much the dark side of the moon, quote. And
We
you
got
can
a
also see,
mustard.
like, we've got, hello, Colonel Mustard. We have, the moon right here. You can definitely tell that
If you're
like, he's
talking, we
very
can't
much.
hear you.
Is he talking?
I am not.
Hey, Sneem.
Oh, now he is.
Hello, Gray. What do you think about
Hello.
this lady here and man?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. It's not the worst version of that character I've ever seen.
There is a version of them where like Dagger has a dagger, like you can see it like on the chest. It's like this would all be just skin showing. It's great, but design wise, you can see like every character is still having the individual lighting going on, making sure that their
Like-
aesthetic is showing regardless of what's behind them. I think
I like the
just-
hole in his chest.
you like the hole in this chest. Nice, because it's a void. It's a good one. It just follows along with all the characters and how they are being put together. I bet you guys know who this is. Mr. Doctor
Sicker
Strange.
version of Strange.
I know,
He's
right?
beefier. Nice.
He's beefier. They made
I
him.
love the
a tank in this
huge
game.
Time Lord cover.
Oh yeah, there is a bit of Time Lordiness.
Hmm.
Just a little bit. I know that like his ultimate deals with time, but it's just the Eye of Agamotto stopping people from moving. But I love playing this guy. He's like one of my mains, and you can't really see it. The cape individually moves like independent of Strange, and floats along with him. It's very interesting. It doesn't come off of his shoulders, but you can see it's an individual asset that's floating right above his shoulders. It's very interesting when you see him walk.
I mean, that's
But
cool. It's supposed to
love
be
it.
its own character. So
Yeah,
fair
so
enough.
if they make it look like and feel like its own thing, like it's supposed to be in the movies, etc., universe, that's one of the great ways to do it. Is just have the cape be, in terms of game design as well, just a completely separate thing from Strange that just happened to be like linked together in space. But this also leaves the door open to like future game mechanics for like the cape to do completely different things, etc.
I hope so eventually. I just love the collar. So it's very much what Doctor Strange is known for. Especially if you look at like his very much his psychedelic inspired versions from earlier on. The covers of those are stuff that you would put on a wall. I love his design. Then we have this guy. I love this design for Groot. Groot looks fantastic. He looks like a tree man. He looks
And
better than the
silhouette.
weird design that Guardians of the Galaxy tried to give him. And yes, backlighted. His silhouette is recognizable. The funny thing is that if you were to take this character and put him next to any other tree character from any other game, it would be hard to distinguish him between them. But because he's the only one that looks like this in the game, he looks great. He's also really annoying to play against. But that has nothing to do with the aesthetic. Any comments?
Groot.
Treeman? Groots.
I was
Yes.
hoping for a baby Groot, but yeah, whatever.
Eventually, I'm sure we'll get something of the sort.
Did Vin Diesel voice him? Just out of curiosity.
No, sadly
The
not.
game.
So,
okay.
I want you guys to guess who this is. What do
I
you
mean,
think?
I
This is?
already.
Yes, I know you know Dorkus.
Are you asking the panel or chat?
Yes.
I mean, I would assume it's Hawkeye, but which iteration? I don't know.
It's
Yes,
definitely
purple in the
Kitteh
bow.
This is definitely Hawkeye, 100%. They gave him like this ninja aesthetic. I think he looks cool aesthetically. It's just when I think of Hawkeye, I don't think of this type of aesthetic, but it works because he has the lamest, like
Well,
his voice is so weird.
Doesn't he go by the name Ronin at some point?
He does.
What
That
the
is
fuck? Why?
another version of him that he changes to being Ronin later on. What
Things were
was it? What
different during the
happened?
snap time. Don't worry about it.
It was.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Hawkeye's always been a weird character. Like for the longest time, they ripped off like Wolverine's aesthetic and essentially gave him
Yep.
that cowl for no reason. So I don't know. He's always.
I
Been
remember that.
mismatched.
That's what I remember. I remember the cowl being so like, oh, this is so. Why does he have that? Well, because it looks cool. That's about it. But very much like he kind of reminds me of Hanzo from Overwatch, and he plays like Hanzo from Overwatch and pisses everyone off because his arrows have a massive hitbox. So you can get headshots so easy. He is one of the easiest to play characters in the game. Pisses everyone off, including myself. Then we have Hela. Hela looks hella good in this game. Aesthetically, I think
Preach.
she's great. They gave her a wonderful hourglass aesthetic. You know, she definitely looks like a female, and the way that she looks in this game is very reminiscent of what was it? Not Love and Thunder. She didn't show up in Love and Thunder. The one before that, of that one. One of those Thor films was it Thor 3? Yeah, the third one, I think, when it was a comedy.
I
You'd
think,
go straight to hell.
3 is the one with Hela.
But I think that she looks great. She has a lot of problems in the game because she currently is she can one shot most characters. She's very powerful. But I think aesthetically she looks fantastic. This is one thing I noticed about like all of the characters, all the female characters in this game is that it seems like they cook with the designs quite a bit. And I'm not talking about like just how attractive they look. It's they look like versions that have existed prior and then add 6 or 7 more points. Louise Henry, help. We are snowed in Ireland at the moment. We need the Americans' help. Sorry, dude. We're not very good at that.
How are they supposed to come over and help you? The Americans from all the way over there. What do you want them to do?
Grab a shovel and then do the work yourself.
Come on, we got the salt trucks. Let's do this. Let's help them out.
We also have the assault trucks.
What about nukes? Those would melt all of the snow real quick.
Patrolling the
Maybe
Mojave
faster.
almost makes me wish for a nuclear winter.
Oh, fuck. He did it first. Ah,
Let's go. Next, we have Iron Fist. There's a problem here, but it's not with the aesthetic per se, but more of the design decision of them using an Iron Fist that is not like one of the originals. This is a brand new Iron Fist. Fits with the lore of the game, which is like it's thousands of years since Danny has died. So they don't have the blonde guy. That we have a guy that is not quite related to anything else. But he has the aesthetic of Iron Fist. He is just angry Chinese man, pretty much. Then the way that he fights is like an angry Chinese man.
he
I
shouts
think that
about
he looks
Taiwan
great.
not being a country and the US being the root of all evil.
That would be fantastic. I wish. I know that there were some mods that were on Nexus mods that were trying to add stuff like that into the game, and those people got banned from Nexus mods.
Yeah, definitely. There is a little bit of Chinese influence in the game, especially
Just
if
a
you
little
look at what you're allowed to type in the chat. You are clearly only allowed to type positive pro-CCP, Chinese Communist Party messages in the chat, and nothing against them. You're not even allowed to type in the year when the Taiwan Square massacre happened. Taiwan Square, the Tiananmen Square massacre happened. You're not
You
even
can't
allowed
even
to
type
in
Tiananmen.
the year. Yeah, not even that. Like this stranglehold that the Chinese information agency has on the chat in this game is insane. But guess what? You can type Taiwan is bad and Taiwan is evil, but Taiwan good? No, not allowed.
Well,
Never.
why would you need to? That's the real question.
You're only
He
allowed
showed
to
me
say
just his head.
that something is so true, Bmo, that you are only allowed to say that and nothing else. Imagine
wanna
that
just his
level
head?
of truth.
That's really Dick Grayson. Lucy's bringing up Ryu as well. I
Yeah.
don't know, man. It doesn't feel original, but I guess it's not, right? It's a new
It's
iteration.
not.
of
Definitely
a
not.
classic character.
I know that there's versions of Iron Fist where this is a full cover, and I kind of like that, but they wanted to go for the Ryu headband look, which is a look. But I think overall aesthetically it's pleasing.
I see no problem
I
with
can't
it.
unsee Dick Grayson after you said it though.
It's the eyes, man. Like that mask is just
Yeah,
so
I know,
wrong.
right?
It's weird.
Bmo can only see Dick, confirmed.
Yes,
Confirmed.
100%. Then we've got Iron Man. I don't like this version of Iron Man, but it's because I'm so biased towards the movie version of the original film. because I like that look more. But overall, you can 100% tell that this is Iron Man immediately. The
Absolutely.
colors match, and even though he doesn't really need it anymore, like he's still got the power cell in the torso, he's still flying.
And even when the colors are, even that matches. Like if you look on the original design, those are the area where there's like the little bit of golden pieces and where the red pieces are. Yeah.
He is very fun to play, though. Again, I recommend that people play this game because it is free. Give it a try. And honestly, it's a fun game. But aesthetically, I think it still works. It's just I don't like that this specific design is not what I want it to be because I'm biased towards the older version. I feel similarly about this that I do about Captain America.
I guess I just don't see how this suit would work. I don't know. That inseam seems really tight. I don't know how that.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
I don't mind the body of it so much. I know that helmet is, you know, a part of that futuristic look that recent Iron Men have been going for, but I tend to prefer the old classic helmet personally.
Yeah, exactly. It's the classic. If they had the classic helmet, I think I would be a little more liking it. But I mean, just like what Grace said, it's like this has to be something that he doesn't like put on piece by piece. This has to be like that liquid armor that he tended to get later on. The fun fact: Tony by himself is a Type 2 civilization. I have no idea what that means. Okay.
Oh yeah, I don't like the type civilization system, but essentially it's it's all about ranking how much energy a civilization, or in this case a being, uses, like all of the energy on their planet, all of the energy in their solar system, all of the energy in their galaxy. But I don't like it because it just assumes that as civilizations become more advanced, the more energy they use, more energy, when you have no fucking idea whether that's going to be the case or not. Like, what's stopping a super advanced civilization from just being able to live off of like the constant quantum fluctuations that exist all around us? Because all around us at the smallest level, particles are spontaneously created and annihilated. What if they can just sustain themselves infinitely off of that? Or what if they just spark some shit around the black hole and then just live forever off of the radiation and casually become immortal because of the time dilation? Like, you don't know. It's such a linear form of thinking about, like, hey, more advanced uses more energy. So I don't like it. But yeah, I understand the meme that he is in and of itself is a Type 2 civilization.
I really wanted to pay attention to what you were saying, but the picture that Bmo chose on screen. Why?
I know, it's always, I'm saying
Marvel
something interesting and in depth, and then Charles makes a silly face, or something interesting comes on the screen. I know.
You can't beat Jeff the Shark,
Puns.
okay?
And then what is this? Is this Marvel's King Shark then? And then how come we don't have Baby Groot if we've got this cute little Jeff Shark?
I know, right? So this is
your projectile?
a Deadpool character. It seems. And yeah, it's part dog, part shark. It's Jeff the Land Shark. For some reason they put this piece of shit in the game. I'm calling them a piece of shit because they are the most annoying character to fight against. Just because they have an ultimate that will, in a very wide area with a broken hitbox that is not properly displayed, eat everything, including your own team. And what they'll do is, if anyone's familiar with Smash Bros, they'll Kirby side. Well, where they'll suck you up, they'll eat you, and then jump off the stage, killing everyone. It makes me want to rage. But aesthetically, it's adorable. You can tell that it's a dog shark. 100%.
So I'm not familiar with Jeff the Land Shark dog. But wouldn't that be more akin to like a Flurkin? Like, they're at least known to like swallow people whole or whatever. Like, their power is a lot more like Kirby.
Yes.
Canonically, could he like just swallow people whole?
I don't know enough about Jeff to be able to tell you. He's in the game and he's Satan. That's all I know.
I gotta say, they had
is
like
a character I
an
know very little about.
thing. They did an extended sequence with the Flurkins and the Marvels movie that nobody watched, but man, they made it a huge plot point. So I don't know. It,
Yes,
it just
I
seems like
remember.
that would add to this, and then you can keep going with that whole. But maybe I'm wrong. At least you'd have a little character that could take on Jeff.
One of the best things about this character is actually that the response to this character and how they play. They're a healer, but their ultimate eats a bunch of people. The online discourse regarding this character is like, this person is guilty of 106 war crimes against every country in the world. Like it's basically they are the thing to hate on. It's great. The voice actor for this character did a "My name's Jeff" meme.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's caught on. It's great. I love it. I love the design. I just hate the character. And then we have Loki. Loki is a healer in this game.
Why?
And it's why? Because so he still has all the trickster like things that you would expect from Loki, but also if he shoots one of his allies, it heals them, and then he will comment about how he is the best healer in the game. Like the character himself will say, "I am the best healer that there ever was." Like it's great. I love it. You can tell who he is if you've seen Marvel, if you've watched any of the shows with Loki in it, like cartoon wise, like the Avengers show. You can tell who this guy is. He even has the same scepter from the Avengers film.
And
I
the
think
helmet.
aesthetically he looks fantastic. Doesn't look like Tom Hiddleston either. Which I guess is unfortunate.
Yeah, but we are long past of the do they look like in terms of like face
Also,
and body.
Fur. The fur, I'm biased towards fur. All right. I like the pauldron / cape. It just looks so good. I don't have much to say other than I love playing this character. His ultimate is he will copy another character and then be able to use that character's ultimate. It's fantastic. Next, we have an anime character. This is Luna Snow. She is Colossus's brother. I'm pretty sister, not brother. And
oh, we almost went to some interesting places with that.
Yes, I guess so. She is a K-pop idol.
Sisters, because
Yes,
wasn't Ileana Magic? Wasn't that Colossus's sister?
I might be mistaking the two. Because I know that she has a connection to Colossus.
Different colored eyes. I'm a huge sucker for that.
Heterochromia, yes.
Yeah.
She has also hair different color, and she is a K-pop idol, and she looks like one. And she will dance. She uses ice powers. She is the best healer in the game.
Again.
Yes, straight up the best healer in the game. Just with how much heals that she can get out, it's really annoying, honestly. Hey, Kitty, how you doing?
We are destroying your channel. Don't worry about it. Look away. That's what's happening over here.
But Luna Snow, she's a K-pop idol. I feel like she doesn't fit in this game. Because aesthetically, she looks like the most like an anime character that is, she's just here. Like she thinks she's part of the team is kind of how I feel about it. But apparently she exists. She has never had or had only one comic where she was the protagonist. She apparently is one of the writers of this game's lore, is the personal character that they created.
Someone put their OC in the game, ironically. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, that's Luna Snow. This is Taylor Swift, or Ileana, or Magic, as they're called in this game. I think
Riven.
They look fantastic. I like the punk vibe. Um,
Ooh,
they
Spike.
do look like magic from the X-Men comics. They use a big
and from
sword.
the little known what was it, New Mutants movie, the one that really kind of tanked, but
I never
I
saw
don't
it.
know, I like it, man.
Where
You
are her
and most of
organs?
America. Yeah, I mean, there's some in there.
I just loved the full caps screaming into the void. Where are her organs?
Kitteh, you're like a fraction of her size. How can you complain about
There-
missing organs?
You want to talk about missing organs? All the organs went down to their behinds in this game.
On the inside.
On the inside.
Where you're supposed to be. That's its name.
But I really like playing this character. This character is very much a melee fighter. A lot of fun. And I like calling them Taylor Swift because when I look at the face, they make me think of Taylor Swift. I think it's a very good design. Again, play the game. The aesthetics of this game, it's very, very easy to tell when a magic is around because she's the only person swinging a fucking sword around. It's great. And then we have Magneto. I feel two ways about this.
We're going Chrome Magneto on this one.
Exactly. He's been
Also,
around.
If it entices anybody to see the New Mutants film, Anna Taylor-Joy is the one who plays Magic, the previous character that was just
you
shown.
just convinced
It's
me to
not-
go watch it.
It's not a horrible film. It's not as bad as some of the other X-Men ones.
Yeah, you've now
But
convinced me
sorry,
to watch
getting
it.
back to the bearded Chrome.
Wait, is
Version
the
of
New
Magneto
Mutants the
here.
one with Maisie Williams?
Yes, she is in it as well.
Cool, cool.
See you later, Kitty.
What,
So-
a puppy? Nice.
Puppies are cute. Almost as cute as Magneto.
This is why
So-
we mutinied. She can't be doing stuff with dogs. She is a cat person.
Exactly.
That's some treasonous behavior
So-
over there.
I have some issues with the design here, though. The silhouette is really good and feels like what Magneto should feel like. I don't like the chrome.
Does the halo come with
prefer-
him?
The halo comes with him, yes. So
Hmm.
that's pretty much
don't like
what
that.
he'll do is during the game, he will use the halo as he'll pull metal from around him, and that's what the halo is. He's using that as ammunition.
Suppose I don't
Um,
mind the crown as a variant, but I'm just so darn attached to the
To
purple.
the purple red, yeah, exactly. But you can tell with this guy's design, he's been around for a bit. I like the beard. And ultimately it still feels like Magneto, even though this is definitely like a different take on how he would be. If that
Gotta
makes
be
sense.
honest, it looks like Thor's Ragnarok armor. Like it's
A little bit,
really
yeah.
Oh
strange.
yeah.
I don't know. I
weird
don't mind of
buttons. Like,
yeah,
it's-
but also like the helmet color and face covering
Yup.
choice. It seems very Thor Ragnarok in a weird way.
It's funny you
I
should
don't.
say that because Thor looks wildly different in this game.
Yeah, I bet. I don't hate Magneto in different character costumes, like the Trial of Magneto one where he's got the giant M on there. I kind of dig it, even though it's one of the fan least favorite costumes or whatever. But I don't know. This doesn't give me Magneto vibes. Like if you just showed me him, I would be guessing on who that is. I wouldn't immediately say, "Hey, this dude's Magneto." And I mean, he's in gray, so shouldn't I like him?
If he didn't have the helmet, I wouldn't know it's Magneto, honestly. Because at least like I can look at the red outline here and I'm like, okay, that's got to be a Magneto. That's about it. Like everything else, I agree with what you said. He has a variant that looks a lot more Magneto, but they removed the beard, and I think that this model without a beard looks weird. But now we have Mantis.
She looks adorable.
She does. She doesn't have fully black eyes either, which I think is weird because I'm so used to the Guardians of the Galaxy version, where she has completely blacked out eyes. but I think she looks good. There's a funny thing about this character because when she does her ultimate, she screams, "My anger is healthy," and there's just something funny about that to me. But aesthetically, she seems very elf-like to me, and she's also a very, very good healer. And really annoying stuns. But yeah, I think if I didn't know who Mantis was, which I'm not particularly familiar with, I almost said Magic Mantis as a character, only from the movies, I could recognize it was Mantis. But if I don't think there's anything here that would tell me that this isn't a Lord of the Rings character or some fantasy character.
Oh, no, the ring.
I mean, her gloves are a little high tech for Lord of the Rings, but fair enough.
I still like the design, so I'm not hating on the design. It's just that for me, who's less familiar with Mantis, that's not as recognizable for me, especially if you were to like get rid of the antenna. That
Is
it's
she
just
wearing
an
part
Yes.
of Groot as a belt? Like, what is going on with the belt thing?
I don't know, honestly. That's a very good question.
Yeah, if she were blonde, it would be very Tinkerbell.
Now I can't unsee that. Yeah, you're right.
And then there's Moon Knight. So I think Moon Knight
Definitely
looks pretty
looks
good in
like-
this game. Go ahead.
Definitely looks like the Marvel version of Batman.
Yes,
Which is kind of what he is.
very much so.
They kind of have like the Marvel movie, the MCU Taskmaster like mask on him for some reason.
Yep.
I think that
I
the
agree
mask
with
is
what you're
not
saying
quite
here.
as good.
Because they just tried to go for cool factor, but yeah, if you put a skull on that mask, he
I
could
see.
very much look like Taskmaster, which I want Taskmaster to be in this game. He would just be so hard to make. All right, you have a good one, Sneem. Because then he would have to copy the fighting style of everyone that he attacks, and that would be a lot of work. But if you know anything about Moon Knight, he actually does fit the same overall aesthetic as Moon Knight usually has. There's also another version where he's just wearing the white, what is it called? The mask that's just straight on his head. It's not hooded or anything like that. That version also looks really good in this game. It's just like what Gray said. This could this could be Taskmaster with the way that the cowl looks. You just need to change the mask. But they do have some of the Egyptian aesthetic on the knees for some reason. But yeah, it's very much, I could tell that this was Moon Knight before seeing the name over it. So I think it did a good job. And again, much love to, they've got the cape behind, but they have these awesome white line backlighting that is unique to every character in the game that remains there when you're playing in game. It's fantastic.
And just to quickly point out, having light sources that are attached to your character permanently when you're playing, that either illuminate only your character or the surrounding too, are not even remotely unique or new, but what they decided to do here is pretty interesting and just on a different level. So I like what they did with something that's just become, it's a trope or it's a tradition. Instead of just putting on skins or so your character is suddenly, very light in a dark area, doesn't make sense, etc. We put lights on it, the deal. But still, to turn it into such a unique form of art where they just bring this, I like it. I like the idea a lot.
All right.
It's
Next.
repurposing a standard industry practice into an art form. It's beautiful.
So, for those that have seen Wakanda Forever, might be able to recognize this guy, but he looks a little different compared to any other version I've seen of him. This is Namor, or Namor, as they tried to make him sound, because he's Atlantean, but they tried to make him Incan.
Diverse.
Yeah. Well, not
I
necessarily.
mean, he was
diverse, but
already
completely
diverse, but,
changed him. And actually, that was because of rights issues. They had to basically create a brand new character in order to put him in the film. But yeah, this
Why
is
don't they
Namor.
call him the Submariner or Submariner? Come on. You can't just call him Namor.
Submariner. I love it.
That's what I
this
always called him as a
guy,
kid.
I almost never think about the other part of his name. It's always been Namor for me. It's the guy with the wings on his feet. But yeah, I like the aesthetic of this guy. Very much. You can tell he's underwater man. I love the trident. I love the armored look of his left side. But if you told me that this was Namor, it would take me a second to recognize him. He's also got the thing with like two different types of hair. He's got the green and yellow. So I'm not a big fan of, but it matches with the rest of the aesthetic of the character. So you get some points there. Again, showing that like they put some serious thought into how these characters are going to look in the game. And just contrasting that with Concord, this just fits, especially with the consistent art style. It just fits.
Except for the hair, in your opinion? I'm just saying, like, maybe you
just
haven't
don't
spent
like
a lot
the
of time in chlorine, but sometimes it makes your hair go a weird green. I get it. I'm just saying. I condone the weird hair choices.
Is your hair green now? Have you been spending time in chlorine?
I blew myself this last weekend. I put
He
blue in my
blew
hair.
himself
Oh
this
my.
weekend.
Yeah, good time. So I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit sensitive to the whole colored hair thing, but what can I say? I enjoy colored hair.
Next, we are going to Penny Parker. Now, this is really frustrating because I was trying to get a picture of the robot.
I love how the robot looks.
Because you don't
like it.
actually see Penny Parker in the game at all. This is the only time you see her, unless it's an MVP screen where she gets her animation of flying out of the robot. And she definitely looks like a young woman. But this is the robot. That's the best I could get. It looks cool. Reminds me of Evangelion. And that seems to be the direct inspiration. And for those that know about Penny Parker or not, watch the Spider-Verse movies. You'll learn a lot about Penny Parker there. That is the best iteration of Penny Parker. That they just made a more appealing character. That's basically what the Spider-Verse movies did. They took versions of characters that were really failing in the comics, completely rewrote them to be more interesting. Yeah, but she's fun to play. She's a tank. She does a lot of like dropping mines that enemies can't see. And yeah, she's just a little girl in a mecha. It works. Speaking of what works, this is Psylocke.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on her. She's still got the thigh, whatever you want to call those bands or whatever.
Yep.
Still got the sword, still got the power. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It is interesting to have the little like face covering as if we're in like 2020 again. But
I know, right?
fair enough.
Not Electra.
She's even got the marks here, and apparently, like in terms of what this character is able to do, this is a different Psylocke than what we're used to, because the other one is in the game as a skin that everyone's used
culottes? Is that a
What is a
skirt
culotte?
or are they shorts? So it would kind of be like a skirt that is bifurcated into shorts would be culottes, if you will.
Oh, a skort?
Yeah, kind of. So I don't know. I'm not sure. It is an interesting take on the Psylocke character.
That is a skirt.
I guess it is a skirt. Fair enough.
But I think
interesting
aesthetically,
choice.
very pleasing. I like the hair. I like the way that she very much has the ninja aesthetic. It's because this is a very Japanese version of Psylocke. Psylocke wasn't originally Japanese, and they made her Japanese.
It's also a decent shade of purple for the hair.
Definitely. But this is another one. It's like, this looks like an anime character. Why is this anime character in the game? Because she looks cool. That's the answer. that's about it.
Actually, could you zoom in again to the skirt?
Sure.
It looks like that's connected to the half of her shoulder. Scroll up. So I'm wondering
it
if
goes
that's
across
just
the
part of
back?
the kimono rather than a pant piece.
Maybe.
Huh.
I just like woman with big belt is a great aesthetic. I will always be in favor of big belt.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 on big belts. Yes, agreed.
All right, moving on. We have Rocket Raccoon. I love the design of this dude in this game. I think they took the design from Guardians of the Galaxy and gave him a mohawk, and I like that. I think he looks great. He looks even better in the movement of the game, but I think you can tell who he is. He's a raccoon man. More specifically, more
hate the
raccoon than man.
aesthetics. I like the mohawk, but man, ever since like the Kong Godzilla movie, it seems like they're trying to throw these like robotic gloves on everything. I'm sorry, man. I'm seeing the monkey glove movie with this. The gloves are distracting for me.
Okay. So you just don't like the gloves.
Yeah, give him a robot hand or something. I don't like the glove. Not a fan.
Okay. But from what you know of Rocket Raccoon, would you say that this is a good aesthetic at least?
Yeah, I mean, is Bradley Cooper going to voice him? Are we getting the classics?
It's a
or no?
pretty convincing imitation of Bradley Cooper.
All right. Yeah, I'll allow it.
And I remember when I first heard him in game, I thought that this was the only character that was allowed to say fuck in the game. And it took a moment for me to hear flark, which is what he's actually saying. It's just it gets said so smoothly.
Wait a minute. So he's wearing like these honking gloves, but he's going barefoot, and then he's got a wallet chain. I don't know, man. I'm rethinking some of these design elements.
Okay. He keeps bombs on that chain, so doesn't keep his wallet safe. Unless that's how he keeps his wallet safe. That's a good question. But good points. Good points all around.
He is a tinkerer, mechanic
Very much
guy.
so.
So I can understand the gloves. Maybe I can understand not liking them, but at the same time, I feel like they're practical.
In the game, he is a quote healer. But healing isn't really his thing. His big thing is he'll actually put up a machine that if you die within a certain radius, you will respawn there instead of at the point, which is so important. Like instead of at spawn, it's so important in this game. Fantastic character. And then we have another one that I really love the aesthetic of. I feel like this is a perfected version of her name just left? Scarlet Witch. I kept thinking Black Widow. I think she looks fantastic. I think they took the movie version of Black Widow and some of her design and some of the older design of Black Widow. Oh my gosh, Scarlet Witch. Why do I keep saying Black Widow? Scarlet Witch.
You can call her Wanda.
Wanda.
I kind of don't like the shoulder
on her knees.
What'd you say?
He's not a fan of the shoulder pads, and I'm wondering, is that just a giant zipper pull, or I thought it was
actually. It does actually. This is a zipper.
Huh.
It totally.
So
is
very hot topic.
There is no such thing as a zipper too big.
I thought it was like the Deathly Hollow symbol, but I guess that's just a faux line that's put in there. But I hear what you're saying about the shoulder pads, though, Dorkus. They do seem a bit sharp, but fair enough. I've seen worse Wandas. I kind of like her.
I just really like the design. I think that this is the most appealing to me. Like through the entire game, this one is one that I just really enjoy. Yeah, she plays triangles on her days off. Yeah, 100%. I love it. because I mean, she already has this thing, which has always been pointy when she's had it on her character. So why not
Crown?
fit more triangles into the aesthetic? And design wise, when things are more angular, it tends to mean that they're more villainous, just in terms of character design. And with the arc that Wanda has gone on throughout, like Avengers, it works in terms of reflecting how she is as a character. Not quite good. But yeah, I like it. And then there's Spiderman. Can I rotate this? There we go.
No.
He refuses to be standing like a normal person. He always has to be upside down or something.
So I like the design, except for I don't like the black that is moving all across, like the knees and the spider symbol. Like I'm not a big fan of that. Other than that, it looks like a fine Spider-Man. Looks like the same type of Spider-Man that we've always had.
So you're saying you're not a fan of the spider legs? Huh.
Specifically, the black aesthetic going, not the black aesthetic, but more the black lines going across the shoulders.
Maybe it's like
I think
the
it looks weird.
meeting in the like. I see what you mean. I can't quite put it into words, but when I look at it, it's slightly unpleasing for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it's because Spider-Man's costume has always been really simple, and this just adds a little more to it.
But they're putting their own spin on it, and how else are you going to show off his Death Star delts? It really emphasizes them. They're
100%. 100%. Just the black. I feel like it doesn't need to be there. That's the problem. Because you could still make the Death Star delts be more pronounced without it being this black inky line that I feel like doesn't need to be there. That's pretty much my only complaint about it. Like the knees, why are the knees black, and why is this going across the character like that? That's about it. Other than that, it's Spider-Man, and you can tell it's Spider-Man. Then we have Squirrel Girl.
Finally.
Finally, we have Squirrel Girl. So they did a lot.
She's still on the
to this
run ever
character.
since shooting that police officer with an acorn.
Yes, exactly. So they basically completely redesigned Squirrel Girl to be in this game. She does not usually look like this.
I mean, they made her thicker, sure, but you know, she's still got her tail. I don't know. How much of it do you think they redesigned? Is it just
I
that they
think
gave her
over
some
30%.
Do
We
they
really
actually
missed
show you?
I can bring
an
up.
Do
Squirrel
we actually
Girl.
get to see her fight in this one, or
Yes.
do they do the fun Marvel thing?
So you get to see her fight. And she uses a slingshot, like a rubber band slingshot, and fires a bunch of nuts at things. She can force you to stop moving with crowd control by surrounding you with squirrels. And when she does an ultimate,
Wait. I understand when you give like super strong, they force you to stop moving to like, I don't know, Doctor Strange or like time manipulation,
Yeah,
but
she's-
really surrounding you
she's
with
very
squirrels, that stops you from moving?
yes,
She's just preparing
Well-
for hibernation. It's fine.
100%.
So
we-
she's super overpowered. Like in the comics, she's one of the only ones to have like single-handedly defeated Thanos. But her
And
whole thing
Dr.
is
Doom.
everything happens off of screen, so you generally don't see her fight or anything. But
I'm just bummed we're probably not going to get an Anna Kendrick Squirrel Girl movie.
well, you never know. She could thicken up a bit. I mean, she's very popular. She is the one that we've all been waiting for, and we have heard a lot about this character. I
do
believe
love
you
the
were
Love
talking
Jack.
about the Nexus mods. Was there
Oh,
not
yeah.
a special one for this character and specifically?
Yes, was to
I'm gonna-
specifically make her really fat in this area. There's also the she was the first one to get a nude mod.
Also, Nexus mods apparently banned the Donald Trump as Captain America mod.
That's hilarious.
I don't know why. Yeah.
That is hilarious. But overall, I love the aesthetic of this character. I just hate playing them and playing against them because they're annoying as hell.
Oh, they didn't just remove the one that replaces Captain America with Donald Trump. They also removed the Joe Biden and Barack Obama Captain America skins.
Oh, that would be great though. At least
I
it
don't know
shows that
why,
they're
but it seems to be like
apolitical.
just no president is Captain America, period. I don't know why the fucking mod distributor website has to dabble in this, but okay. Like, it's not terms of service or anything. Why are you stopping this mod from, existing? It's completely fine.
I'm all for that idea. She was going to be played by Lily from AT&T. Let's go. But yeah, she's got she's like most characters don't have arms as thick as the legs of this character. I love it. It's great. They very much like overhauled her design and created a design that the internet absolutely loves. And then we've got Star-Lord. I think Star-Lord looks like the most 5 out of 10 character in this game. He looks perfectly average. There is a red variant with the jacket that I feel like looks more aesthetically pleasing. But overall, I think he looks good. I don't have much to comment on him other than he looks like Star-Lord.
Does he?
He does
I think
to
this
me.
is the one that I would not be able to tell you who it is. Like even
The
with
mask is what
face
really got
mask.
me.
Yeah, I
Even that,
would
though.
agree with Gray until I got to the mask.
Because other than the mask, Star-Lord doesn't have very many defining characteristics. Like I know that like in recent years he's got the leather jacket that he would wear,
And the
but that's about
Walkman.
it. Well, that's a new thing, a very new thing.
Yeah. I mean, well, not within like the last 5 years, but sure, if we're considering that new, yeah, fair enough. I don't know, man. This is the one that I would least recognize. It kind of reminds me of like a Mortal Kombat character. I mean, the only thing that
I can
makes
see
it
it.
not seem like that is the guns, I guess.
What do you mean? There are Mortal Kombat characters with guns, and they shoot you,
No.
and it is considered a rude and a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, like there was Striker. Like I don't feel like they really generally are
RoboCop.
holding 2 guns, and that's what they do.
They
Like,
Terminator too.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's not really a real character. You can get him, but come on. But I
They
don't
had
know,
Rambo
man.
too.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Just if you show me this character, I wouldn't be like, yeah, that's Star-Lord. Come on.
There is
I don't know.
the
This one I'd have the most
Chris
trouble
Pratt
with.
version of him that looks it very much looks like Chris Pratt, but very much in the like art style of this game. That I believe does have the Walkman on him. But it's the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 suits. So there's no more jacket. It's just a jumpsuit. And it looks good. It's just I didn't take any pictures of variants for this. Moving on, we've got Storm, and I think
Nice.
Storm looks awesome in this game. She
Yeah,
looks
that's awesome. They went
fantastic.
back to the 80s aesthetic with the loopy cape wings
Yup.
and then the mohawk. I'm digging it. Hell yeah.
Oh,
It's
I
so
love that
good.
so much. That looks great. Wow.
She looks like a queen.
Yep.
Great. Fantastic. 10 out of 10. And then there's Punisher.
He's
I
a big boy.
You mean-
overall like the Punisher design.
Yeah. So this one's not named Frank, it's just Tank.
So
he is
pretty much.
he's beefy, man.
He's a big boy.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of variations, including like the Frankenstein version, but man,
Frankenstein.
yeah. All right,
So
fair
he
enough.
looks ready to fight. That's for sure. overall, I
But
think
his mobility, like, come on, his biceps
Yeah.
alone are going to restrict a lot of the movement. Like, I don't know that he is ready to take on a superhero. He's strong, but I don't know, man.
in this
I got to
in
see
this
the mobility.
game, in the lore, now he has the super soldier serum, and he's 600 years old. He's been honing his craft, is what I'm saying.
Alright.
I just opened the Nexus mods page for the game. It was a mistake.
Yes. How about you pay attention? We have a show to run, Hydra.
I was doing research for what we were doing.
He
Yeah,
was
come on,
looking
you
at the
brought up Squirrel Girl.
nude mod.
Yeah. How
No,
can you
but it
expect-
was the Hawk 2 mod for Hawkeye Ultimate Ability that was staring
What?
me in the face as I opened the page. I was like, I wonder what other kind of mods they removed. Let me look this up. And it's like, boom.
Wow. But yeah, overall, like, he's very beefy, he's very big. But with what he does in the game, he feels like Punishers to me still. I would prefer the leather jacket on him and not the weird face paint that he's got on
What
his
the
head.
hell? I didn't even notice the face paint.
How do you
at
not
least they
notice
kind of went.
it?
I've got a tiny screen, and it's
Oh, yeah,
I'm
okay, that
doing
makes
some
sense.
Squirrel Girl research.
Okay, yeah. Now everyone's gonna just say research when I was actually doing it. Now you can get to call everything research. I see.
At least they kind of went back to the classic logo. I really hated the
Only on
kinda
the
new
face,
one that they
though,
made for him.
because this is still
Well, I mean, the chest plate. Is it the new one under there? That
It
didn't
is,
look like it to me.
sadly.
Damn it. Okay. Yeah, that's strike 2 for me.
Yep.
No, this is not my Frank.
So it's funny actually you say that. There's a video on YouTube of someone that has done multiple cover arts for original Punisher comics. He made a video about, I'm going to redesign Punisher to be better. And he just makes Frank Castle. Like, he makes exactly what you expect, trying to keep to the same aesthetic that this game has. If I find it again, I will post it in the Discord. It's actually a fantastic video. All right. Moving on. We've covered most of the characters, but here's Thor.
See, I would recognize him as Thor. They went back to the winged helmet look. I guess this time it's
He's
more
still
of
got
a
the discs.
crown?
It's like and these are huge. Like, these add like 1.5 feet of height to this man's character.
Am I tripping? Wasn't it a helmet before? Now it's more of like a
It
winged
was a
crown?
helmet before, yes.
Huh. And then he's still got the dog nipples, as you pointed out. I don't
Dog
know, man.
nipples.
I like the gauntlets though. That's
Mhm.
kind of fun.
I
Yeah,
think
I don't
overall
know.
he reminds me of Ultimate Thor. If you guys have seen the Ultimate Universe, that's a lot of where these discs kind of came from aesthetically. That's why they were picked up by the Avengers films for Thor. But yeah, I think he looks pretty good. I like that they made him look older because he should be older. It's 2099.
Does he have Velcro shoes now?
Velcro shoes? I mean, they could be.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess I don't like that big buckle on there. It just reminds me of Velcro shoes. But fair enough. It's a choice.
Have you been burned by Velcro?
No, maybe. I'm not a fan of Velcro, man. It makes too much noise.
I can understand. All right. So we're actually getting towards the end of this, but now we've got Venom. I think Venom looks
Doesn't
great.
look like Tom Hardy. I don't get it.
I think he definitely looks like Eddie Brock in the typical Venom fashion. He's a big dude. And as some people in the chat have brought up, this dude is cheeked up and has jiggle physics on his butt.
Okay, I can see that he's caked up, and I'm cool with that. But okay, his deltoids are way bigger than Spider-Man's, but because it's not accenting it the same way, I'm sorry, he kind of looks flat in the deltoid area. I would not call those Death Star delts, where Spidey had perfectly round that were really accentuated by the spider legs of his costume. I gotta say, give this guy some shoulder pads
Look
through
at the calves,
making
though.
those Venom legs go across. Yeah, those are some killer calves.
Some
They got their own highlights.
bowling ball calves. But I love it. In terms of how they've taken a character that seems very simple, added just little more vascularity to him, but kept the overall, this is Venom, this is what Venom has always looked like. There's two main versions of Venom, and one of them is a lot more crazy than the other. In terms of like wildly changing the way that he looks. This one is very much, they keep him in his humanoid form. He doesn't move much past that. But yeah, he's also really fun to play. He's a tank. All right. And then we've got Bucky, which Bucky looks okay. Hey, David, we're thinking about aesthetics at the moment. Bucky has the robotic arm or the metal arm. It's just not showing in this photo. But he very much looks kind of like the Winter Soldier. Just he doesn't look very distinct. You could put him with Halo characters and he would fit there.
Yeah, I think I would actually recognize him versus a couple of the other ones, but fair enough. I would be able to tell you that's like Bucky as opposed to Star-Lord.
Sure. The movement that this guy makes me think of Winter Soldier, that's for sure. The way that he plays definitely makes me think of Winter Soldier, but just off of aesthetics alone, he's military man.
I think it's by the way he moves. Does he do like that cool little Russian dance or something? Like, what about his movement shows you Bucky?
So
cool Russian dance. Why?
Whatever you call that, where you get really low to the ground and kick out.
Yes, I used to know what that was.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I understand. Okay, I gotcha.
That Trotsky trot or whatever. I don't know what it's called. So his movement very much matches the way that he would fight in the Captain America Winter Soldier film. The way he moves in that movie is very close to how he moves in the game, if that makes sense. Also, his arm. There is a Marvel villain that is linked to Captain America. That is he's able to like stretch metal arms. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like a main villain of Captain America. Am I the only person that knows about this person? Oh my gosh, what's his name?
It seems like you are all alone.
So it seems like this guy's arm, Bucky usually just has a metal arm. And this, he's able to extend it. And
so he's able
use
to
it like a whip.
seam?
Yes.
That's interesting. Wait, he uses his arm as a whip? That seems so un-Bucky to me.
Yes.
Nah, that's not my Bucky.
Not
yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one.
You'll probably pass on this next one. This
I don't know.
Is Wolverine.
I could see Cavalrine playing this. I mean, throw that on Henry Cavill. I think we got something going. I don't hate it. Is he at least short? Is he a tall king?
He's very short. He's very short.
I'm down for this. It matches some of the comic versions.
I just don't like the jacket. There is a version that is it's the Deadpool suit, and I think that looks really good because that's like trying to call back to the classic suit. But I think this doesn't work for me just because it's just put the Nike logo on his shoes, I guess, because he doesn't feel. It doesn't feel
right. That's the part that does it for me, man. This is totally Back to the Future too, like future vibes.
Very Back to the Future, yes.
I love it. To me, it's awesome. Give him a hoverboard. Yeah, like that's the character I want to play as.
Is this Street Fighter or something? No, this is Marvel Rivals, David. Yeah, and there's a few versions of this guy where he gets into his berserker mode and his hair grows and looks even more feral. And I think overall he looks all right. Like I can definitely recognize these Wolverine, but I would prefer the old suit rather than the jacket being the defining characteristic. If that makes sense.
It does, but I don't know, man. Something about it, it works for me. I like this one. For some reason, this is going to be like my top tier of the ones you've shown so far.
Wow. I'm surprised.
That's surprising, yeah.
Well, that goes through the entire roster. There is Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, and the Invisible Woman that are being added to the game either today or tomorrow. But I don't have images of them.
No Thing, though?
Oh, the Thing actually is also going to be in the game.
Okay. As long as they're not ignoring Ben. And then, okay. Fair enough.
It's got that Thing on it. Yes, Dorkus?
Oh, I was just going to say, so having compared Concord to Marvel Rivals, and now that you bring up Invisible Woman, it seems that there's some drama, internet drama. I've only looked at headlines. I haven't actually looked into, so I can't speak to how dramatic the drama is. But I guess that there are some groups out there who are complaining about the character design, specifically the attractive women in Marvel Rivals.
How
which
dare
is
they?
interesting because there was so many complaints about the women in Concord as well, presumably from
Did they bring up any
groups.
Women in particular? Is it mainly about Squirrel Girl again?
People are complaining about Invisible Woman being sexy, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I'm getting the character up now.
But as David points out, she's invisible. You can't even see her. It's just going to be like dotted lines. Like, come on.
Yeah, one would think.
There we go. One would thunk.
One would thunk.
Can I get an image that is not 240p?
So let me pull the panel. So is Squirrel Girl bad for society? Does this normalize the wrong thing?
Bad for society?
Just saying, man.
I have no
Chicks
problem with
tails?
Squirrel Girl's design. I thought it's fine.
I think it's a slippery slope to furrydom, and I don't know that I'm okay with that.
Well, when you put it that way, I do a 180 on my position. Yes, ban Squirrel Girl.
Nope. I like cat girls, so Squirrel Girl is allowed.
I love the logic way.
That's it. It's as simple as that. I'm not a furry, but I like cat girls.
My main problem with her is causing that police shooting. You know, she's still out on that one.
The falling.
We would
acorn.
appreciate if you would do show up for a civilized conversation at the nearest police station at your convenience, Squirrel Girl.
Well, I condone her exposing a problem and bringing it to all of our attention. Well done in that situation.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay, I think I found. Yes, I found her. There it is. Let me share that real quick. I found the Invisible Woman.
Huh.
Boom. There she is.
I don't see her
doesn't
as
look
being
invisible.
any like that far removed from any of the other female characters in the game.
Actually, one of the bigger criticisms is that she looks like another white woman.
There's a lot more
Wow.
thigh gap than Squirrel Girl has. I don't know. Is Squirrel Girl like realistic or?
I think Squirrel Girl's the outlier here. When
Yeah, okay.
you throw Invisible Woman up against the Scarlet Witch or Black Widow or Magic.
She has a malice skin as well, to show that there was a different version of her. I'm trying to find it here. because the reason why people are complaining is because this character is apparently too sexy for a kids game.
Again, we're talking about Squirrel Girl.
Yes, totally.
But do these people complain about Punisher? Unrealistic body standards.
No, it's always okay with the guys. You can have people hulking around like a fucking absolute chiseled beast, like the scientist in Gears of War or something.
Yes, exactly.
That's always fine. But an attractive, ideal-looking young woman. Don't you know how many women commit suicide every year because they can't achieve that body type? And then
attractive women exist.
Yeah, but then just please ignore like all of the other societal problems that are not just affecting women but other people too. It's not like men aren't committing suicide because they can't reach the ladder of what is considered attractive by society. It's a universal problem, and in art forms you can always put out the ideal, what you consider the most attractive, etc. You can put it on screen if you want to. It doesn't matter to be, oh, it's not one-to-one like reality. Don't you understand? So what? It looks cool. That's what matters.
So very
what are we looking at here?
Is that the word?
This is Malice. This is Invisible Woman's variant costume.
Oh,
yeah,
she seems pretty visible.
Very, very visible. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, I just wanted to show it earlier.
Okay.
Is anyone still having that argument? There are neo-Puritans on either side of the aisle that hate when things are attractive.
Is it? So David's saying like, who's complaining, and why are we fighting over a kids game? Are people complaining because it's a kids game, or is this even considered a kids game? Like it's
a very small amount of people
but...
I've talked to about this game have brought up that it's for kids. A lot of the time it's just that the designs are misogynist because the women are sexy. And I'm not talking about just Twitter interactions.
But the man being sexy is not misandrist somehow. Square that away. Even though the body types can be just as unrealistic, if not more unrealistic, with things like Punisher and Hulk being like more absurd than even the most, like, when you look at the ideal male physiques of like the classical chiseled statues made out of white marble, you know what I'm thinking about.
Like Dorkus.
Exactly. Right there we have Augustus, the Holy Emperor. Like, that is still, yes, an ideal that is unreachable by many, but it's still somewhat, it's possible that it exists in a small percentage of people. But then you
put on screen design,
things
David.
like Punisher. And you complain about only the female ones, not the male ones, only the female ones. Just let artists do their thing. Who cares if it's not realistic? It's art. It's not supposed to be, it has to be a one-to-one on society. This is unrealistic. What is this? Casting magic? Stopping time? How dare you? Don't you know how many people kill themselves every day because they wish they could stop time, but they can't? Oh, my God.
Didn't you know that there are kids starving in Africa? How could you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I mean, trying to ignore all of the weird hyperbolic bullshit that happens on Twitter is hard. But I mean, a lot of these bleed into what, like, let's say larger YouTubers will talk about, what even the news will cover. It seems like a lot of this nonsense gets bled over from social media, where a lot of this nonsense tends to be like, oh, well, this is representative of a real life argument, therefore this is what we're going to jump into. This is why people talk about it. It's just definitely not as important as people make it out to be. Speaking of things like that,
as we transition from a video game related topic regarding people talking about what they like and what they don't like, it is fortuitous that Tim Kaine, the creator of Fallout and other games, has made a video just the other day titled "Do Gamers Know What They Like?" And I listened to it, and I agree in varying shades. I disagree in varying shades, and I thought it would be topical given what we have just discussed.
And I haven't seen
Well,
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know nothing about this, but Bmo, do you think gamers know what they like? Do you think you know what you like?
Generally, no. I do not think that gamers know what they like until, like, let's say we could use examples of like the FIFA games. FIFA has not changed its formula for a long time. And there are people that will specifically go for those games because it's something that they recognize and they like, but they will make changes to those games that make it like a gambler. Like you're gambling, you're buying loot boxes. This is a very predatory practice, and people will, regardless of how they feel about it, still play the game.
It doesn't have to be that either. You can also gamify, like login, like whatever rewards or whatever. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of get that stuff. But do you know like what you're looking for when are you looking for like a
Very
certain type of game?
generally.
Like I'm only going for side scrollers. It turns out I don't like this other stuff. Or do you kind of want to find out from being kind of
I
surprised?
generally want to find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like the surprise of not knowing exactly what a game is going in, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I guess I don't know what I like in a game, but I can tell you what I don't like in a game.
Actually, David just put it really well. An artist's job is to give people what they want and figure out the things that they don't know they want yet.
Oh,
Yep.
I was about to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are two different mindsets. I think when you conceptualize games as the creator and you study how to create, you learn things that makes you think differently in how to make them. And that's not to say that fans don't approach what they like and don't like in the same way. It's just that they might speak a different language, so to speak, or articulate what they like and don't like differently. So there's a lot that might be lost in the crosshairs. I think you need a strong creative direction, and sometimes fans don't necessarily always see the bigger picture. At the same time, I do think that there has been this culture among creators, not across the board, obviously, but in some areas that have adopted some sort of contempt for fans. And like, I don't think it's a requirement that someone be a fan of a game in order to work on it, or an IP in order to work on it. But the people who aren't fans that are brought in to work on it need to understand what makes it appealing, and they need to respect it. And I think, especially with the internet being a hive of scum and villainy, a lot of adversarial POV tends to rise to the top more so than other kinds. I feel like I'm rambling. Someone pick up the ball before I finish fumbling.
Internet
Play
is
the video.
mean.
Internet
is
mean,
mean.
yes.
I mean, of course, there's no there's the anonymity plus, not being you won't get in trouble necessarily for the things that you say. Depends on what you say. Leads to, garbage fires of just, for example, people saying, "Oh, post this on Instagram so that we can just roast the hell out of you in the comments," like stuff like that. Like, it's just the way it is, and it's been that way for a long time.
Yes. Okay, let's get into the video, shall we?
Before we do that, I want to quickly say something. Somebody brought this up in the chat, David Puff. An artist's job is to give people what they want and figure out the things that they don't know they want yet. And the video was titled, Do Gamers Know What They Like? So on this topic, just to quickly explain, you can't just universally say gamers. Like, this is a very diverse group that want loads of different things and hate each other and hate some of the things the other people want, etc. So if you try to understand them as in single ones, you'll get confused because that's not how this works. It's like saying, do humans know what they want? Shitload of humans want different things. And just on the topic itself of knowing what you like or what you desire, one of my favorite experiments in this group was the pasta sauce experiment. When they did a mass survey on what kind of pasta sauces people liked or would like or what they would like to buy, etc., and what kind of new pasta sauces were about to be released and how much people would like them or what they are looking for. And it painted a quite accurate picture of the market. It was very saturated, except the company that did this survey came out with a brand new extra chunky pasta sauce that no one asked for. The survey indicated that nobody was interested in this. But as soon as it came out, it became incredibly popular and it became the best-selling product. And that's what everyone wanted then. So sometimes, even in incredibly niche environments where people are sure what they want and they are really all going towards the same thing, in this case, pasta sauce, they are not able to accurately report their desires because they just haven't conceptualized yet that they would desire something as an extra chunky pasta sauce because nobody actually done it yet before that. So even then, this is a very complex topic and people want all sorts of different things. And yes, they do, or sometimes don't even know what they want unless they are presented the opportunity. Hey, this exists, you know.
Yeah. Just like sex life.
Huh.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about the question, do game players even know what they like? I almost called this game players don't know what they like, but I figured it would lead to a better comment section if I posed it as a question.
I think that's
a good
I appreciate the sentiment.
right. So, especially since he's going to go on to talk about angry comments, how we frame our language, especially around these contentious topics, are very important. One builds a much more collaborative discussion, and one does not. And I think, generally speaking, Tim Kaine is very good about building a more thoughtful community around some of these topics.
Okay. Let's keep it going.
Let me tell you why I thought of this. I was watching a comedian podcast, not a comedy podcast. I wasn't watching comedians do stand-up. I was talking about comedians talk with each other about being comedians.
Item does bring up a fair point, though.
Yeah, I understand, and I agree that it loses effectiveness, but I think it also earns honesty points, and that might be what he's going for. It's a separate kind of strategy of like, hey, this is what I originally wanted, but this is what I think is better because I want the comment section to be more civil. That's being said, here's what I'm thinking. You know, it's more so straightforward, and that might be what he's going for.
And it does show his point of view right at the front.
And one of them made a comment that it's very hard to come up with jokes in a world where audience only know what they find unfunny. And most of them couldn't write a joke if their lives depended on it, especially a joke that you could say in stand-up. And I thought that was interesting because, first of all, I've met a lot of people who think they're funny and they are not funny. But also, stand-up comedy is a perfect example of it doesn't require any equipment or anything. It's basically you and it's pure skill.
I wish Charles was here to comment on this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I see where he's going with this. I want to know how this will translate into the games industry.
Well, I mean, take any form of art. Do you need to know how to do it? Do you have to reproduce it like a movie? Do you have to be able to make it shot for shot in order to know, hey, I don't find
Yep.
this entertaining. I don't enjoy
You're
this.
you're getting
This is
right
not
into what I was
effective."
about to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You don't need skin in the game to know that something's bad. You can look
It might
at it.
help you dissect it a little bit more, and it might help you to realize everything that goes into it. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like a weird standard that you'd have to actually be able to write a joke in order to tell somebody that that joke isn't good.
Exactly. Because you could ask any of these comedians to just say, be funny. And a lot of the time, the joke is, that's not how that works.
And I don't really, to your point, I don't have to articulate why I don't like something. Now, he's going to go on to talk about trade-offs. And I think he uses fast traveling as an example. Well, if you're going to get rid of fast traveling, what do you replace it with? Kind of a thing. And
Slow traveling.
what?
With slow
He
traveling.
did a meme, but it's unironically. It's a serious concern if you do anything like that. Like getting rid of fast traveling, you have to take a look at, is the game mechanic, does it fit in the setting? If you're gonna extend the player time, you gotta put things in it, make it feel like an experience, etc., etc., etc. There are games that do this, like Outward.
Are you gonna make mobs respawn?
Yeah.
Or
Or how are you gonna make it
an empty
interesting or anything? Like, to go back to the game that I just mentioned, Outward, it has a map, but it doesn't magically show where you are. You gotta find it yourself and use that to navigate.
Sparkles.
And hello. And you gotta all that extra time that just got added, you gotta make sure it's filled out with game mechanics, something the player can engage with, that matters, that responds to their actions, etc., etc.
Right. And so I think Tim Kaine essentially tries to make the point that fans, when they say something like, we don't like fast travel, Tim Kaine tries to make the point that that means they haven't thought through what would happen.
Yeah, that's not what they... So maybe they aren't saying we don't like fast travel. What they don't like is, what they say, we don't like how travel doesn't matter, or how we can just warp from one place to another and, never travel in game, when I would love to, I don't know, explore Skyrim more, as an example.
The irony of that being, you can choose not to engage with that mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. But still, that's a different question.
Which he addresses. But here's the thing. The customers, the fans, are the ones who spend the money. So dismissing out of hand what a lot of people are saying they don't like, I don't think is the correct tactic, because you need to be able to take the temperature of the room. And there are any number of reasons why a game might not do well or fail in a particular regard. And I don't like the idea of, blaming the fans for a game not performing as well as the creators might have hoped.
And there's a lot of people who think...
Yeah, sorry, just so you could say, traveling around in games is also one of the hardest things to get right. It has so much to do with mechanics, the gameplay loop, the setting, the way the player plays the game, what they choose to do, the actions they engage in. Like, just in of itself, that is so hard to get right. And when you're going to say, oh, we don't want fast travel, you're raising the stakes a little bit. You're gonna make it's objectively going to make it harder to make a good game that way, because there are more things that could go wrong. Basically, it's not that it's a wrong decision, but the people are saying we hate fast travel might not actually just hate fast travel. They might be saying they feel like travel is meaningless, or they use fast travel everywhere, or it has no meaning, or it's just another loading screen, or nothing happens between them, or they want a traveling experience,
I really want to know what his thoughts are on this, because I definitely have thoughts now, but I want to find out if I don't want to assume his position here.
Yeah, let's
anything. It's basically you, and it's pure skill. And there's a lot of people who think they're good at it who are not good at it. And I thought that was interesting because it was purely skill based. But what the comedian was essentially saying is it's hard to get feedback from an audience because they're laugh when you say something funny and groan or boo when you say something not funny, but they're not actually telling you what it is they liked and didn't disliked about those jokes. You only know whether it was a hit or a miss.
I would completely disagree with him. I do wish Charles was here. He is definitely way more of an expert on this. But I would say stand-up is one of the most interactive and immediate feedback art forms we have. From doing music live, from being involved a little bit in film, you don't get feedback from that instantaneous. Like, yeah, you can kind of hear a crowd booing or whatever, but you can truly tune that out. In a comedy room, there is no way to tune out that crowd. Like, you get instantaneous feedback. And once you learn to kind of read an audience, you can tell when you're losing them. You can tell just what's going on with that. Yeah, they're not filling out like a little card like you do after you've watched. I don't know if you guys have seen like sneak previews of movies or whatever. They usually have you fill out like a feedback card, and then they might actually implement some of your feedback. You know, that's not what you do with comedy. Like, comedy by committee sucks. It's not going to be the same thing. And the same joke with a different crowd is going to go over completely different. I really wish Charles was here. As Dorkus has mentioned, you know, he'd be much more of an expert on this, but I wish I knew which podcast he was talking about and which comedian, because I think he might be taking them slightly out of context.
Sanderson has talked about, in his lectures, about sending early editions of books out to alpha readers and beta readers and experts in various fields for feedback. And he actually does talk at one point about when you're sending it out to your friends and family, not to expect like technical feedback like, oh, this character arc or this symbolism type things or this type of language. Don't expect your beta readers to do the job of an editor. What you are looking for is to send it out to a wide range of people and look for the themes, the recurring elements of the feedback that you're getting. And that can give you an idea of what is working and what's not, what you are trying to accomplish, and if you have accomplished it or not.
Okay.
So I don't fully agree with the idea that someone needs to have an intimate degree of expertise in a field and able to effectively offer feedback.
Well, and that's why in TV, which obviously is not the greatest, but their form of like feedback was literally they would just have this thing that you turn to one side when you don't like what you're seeing on the screen, and then you turn to the other side when you do like it. The feedback was as simple as that. Like, okay, we need more of this character. Everyone loves it when this character's on screen. So let's get more Kramer or whatever.
Huh.
This is similar in the game industry, but what really knocked it home for me,
hey,
someone
Vincent.
mentioned a George.
What's up?
Oh, we got Vincent in the chat.
Hello.
It's been a while, sir. Too bad Sanderson has gone woke.
That's what I'm
no,
hearing.
not woke. Just he's progressive for a Mormon. That's about it.
George R.R. Martin quote, which I looked up. He was talking about readers, book readers, and he said, quote, "Now social media is ruled by anti-fans who would rather talk about the stuff they hate than the stuff they love." Unquote.
That's not actually something I disagree with. Because there's like to use Twitter as an example, just for a second, engagement farming is huge on there, and it's only negative for engagement farming for the most part, because that's how you get people to join in, to look at what you're talking about. It's you need that negative hook to bring people in. Then a lot of people do this with like let's say video game reviewers and such. They'll talk about the bad first, then they'll talk about the good. It's because the negative hook is what gets people in.
And negativity tends to ring louder and stick around a bit longer than positivity, which is a tough situation.
Oh yeah,
I suppose.
Absolutely.
Now,
That's
whether or
good.
not social media is the cause, I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. I don't even want to have it.
I think it
But I
is.
do see a rise over the decades of my career in how games are discussed in person and online, which is a prioritization of the bad features over the good. People love to talk about what they hate. And some of them almost never even mention what it is they like. What would they prefer instead?
That I don't entirely agree with. I just think that the I liked this part tends to get drowned out. I'd also make the argument that, generally speaking, there has been a decline in quality the last several years, which would coincide, presumably, with an increase in criticism.
Yeah.
But that's
I'm not going to say that he's wrong. And I'm not going to say you're wrong. I think you're right. Like, the negativity does seem to get traction, but I don't know, man. I heard about this whole Squirrel Girl thing through social media as well. And I don't hear a lot of people like knocking this. Instead, they seem to be really fans of this. It seems like they are saying something that they like in this particular game, but maybe I'm reading that wrong.
I'll say it. I like Squirrel Girl.
Your
I like
algorithm is
Invisible Woman.
awesome. Because what happens is it's the deep hole of negativity. So if you keep engaging with, like, I like this thing, you're going to get more of I like this thing. But if you engage more with the rage bait, you're just going to get more. It's like watching like bad cop videos. If you watch bad cop videos, you're going to just keep getting more bad cop videos because that's what the algorithm wants you to watch.
I never said there was a perfect golden age of video games, but I certainly think that games coming out 15 years ago are generally better than games coming out in the last year.
If we're talking
Part of it could
AAA,
be,
I agree.
Yeah. That's a good distinction there, because there are some really wonderful indie games that have come
Yeah,
out.
we're in an indie game
Absolutely.
renaissance right now.
Exactly, because it's so much easier to make games than it was ever before. So the indie games market is thriving, while the quality of what the large game studios are putting out is declining, and you're sort of succumbing to this rotten corruption and just bloatedness that the pandemic also didn't help when they overhired everyone, because they were like, oh my God, people are playing so more video games, invest. And when that, went away as the pandemic sort of ended, they found themselves with ridiculously overinflated budgets. Also, there is a thing where there are just too many cooks in the kitchen, even if everybody is super talented and wants to make a good thing, which is no longer the case in many of these humongous companies, which are run by the same people that used to make fun of you for playing video games, that are actually just into marketing and don't care about the end product whatsoever. So yeah, that's why I do think that the big companies and the things they put out have been rapidly declining, while the indie market is thriving, which is what I would actually prefer, because I do think that indie deserves a second renaissance.
I would also argue that you don't have to be in the game industry to look at shifts and trends in gaming, like loot box mechanics that have become widely adopted, and say, I don't think this is good for games. Yeah.
And I get it with the rise of monetized channels. I totally understand that rage bait gets more clicks. So if you go on and have a channel and you go, I hate this, and these people are dumb and blah, you get more clicks just because that's what people respond to.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really explain forums or comment sections where the people who are leaving the comments, they have no stake in how many people read their comment.
Where they feel like they do, but that's a different question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about people feeling like they have a stake in their comment being read, but I have a stake in IPs and games that I love continuing to succeed and doing well. I want more good Fallout games. And it's like, so Bethesda has a reputation, rightly earned, I think, for releasing buggy games. And it's like if I said I want Bethesda to come out with a game with drastically less bugs on release, I feel like, and I suppose I'm putting words here in Tim's mouth, so I hope I estimate what he would say appropriately. He might say something like, well, if you want the developers to spend more time smashing bugs, cutting out bugs, you're going to sacrifice more story or less game time or things like that, because that money will be dedicated toward fixing bugs.
Which
And
Bethesda games already don't have much of. So yeah,
Right.
clearly it is a balance, but you can make it. Like, it's not an impossible ask to put out a finished game and also to have it be better than what Bethesda is putting out just without the bugs.
yeah, so I understand. I think most folks generally understand that there are trade-offs with these things. I don't think people always think through what those specific trade-offs are, but I also don't necessarily think that they have to. And some asks may be unreasonable.
Like what?
But people are allowed to make their opinions known. Anyway,
What would
But
you
still,
say
you find
is an
that-
unreasonable ask?
say that again, Bmo.
What would you say is an unreasonable ask from a fan to a creator?
Um,
And I'm not asking for like a wild example. I'm just asking like what is an example that comes to mind?
An unreasonable ask would be 0 bugs in a game,
Okay.
or to turn Skyrim into a sci-fi Star Wars IP. I'm
Interesting,
like
okay.
picking like wildly out there.
Second-person shooter. That's gonna be
Yeah.
not fun. I mean, it's not impossible, but you're not gonna see shit. So it would be an unreasonable ask, but yeah.
Yeah, to like fundamentally change the core of a game in some way.
Would that include like the monetary strategy? Like, would that be unreasonable to ask them if they are banking off loot
Like-
boxes or something like that?
I depends, because loot boxes are yeah, I just don't like loot boxes. I don't like
I
the
can understand.
gambling and the addiction. I think we should move heavily away from that in all aspects,
Okay.
or most aspects.
What if, let's say, game is $70, okay, and then they decide that they're going to put in the gotcha elements, the loot box elements of extra things that you can pay for. Would you be against something like that? Do you think it would be unreasonable to ask them to not do that? Because if this is all about an unreasonable ask to the developer.
I don't necessarily think it's bad to ask that, there not be a loot box mechanic. And I'm sure that there are other ways to make money. Skins tend to be, I think, a reasonable option, and people like buying skins.
I don't like this idea that somehow the loot box form of monetization specifically is always just unavoidable. Everything has to have loot boxes. What do you mean? You want a monetization system that is not dependent on a luck and a game as a casino disguised as a game system? Oh, that's unreasonable. What do you want? The developers not to be paid? Developers were paid just fine before the whole loot box system became a reality. Things were completely fine. Clearly, you can do it without them. And before
Are you
someone
saying
says,
that there was a golden age of game development?
no, but there was a time before loot boxes, which I hate.
Okay.
That doesn't automatically,
yeah.
just because something I dislike didn't exist back then doesn't automatically mean I think that was a golden age or back in my good old days. Back then, stuff was shit too. It was just different problems.
Yeah, crunch
And-
time. Let's go.
And by the way, that doesn't even mean that, oh, we gotta bring back those same problems, or we can't have the good without the bad, or well, you can't have that big of studios and everything has to go back to smaller studios like it was back then because we can't pay them otherwise. There are completely ethical and normal, non-gambling ways to monetize a video game. It's possible. I don't know which one of these original CEOs was that basically hates gamers and just wants to make them as much money as possible, that put into people's head the idea that video games being monetized via gambling is a good thing, or it is to be expected, but I fucking hate it. You can do monetization well without making a casino. That is not the only way to make money. Please stop saying that. You can do monetization without luck and gamers paying for maybe nothing, maybe good thing. That's not necessary. You can do monetization. You can pay developers without gambling. Please. I know why it's so difficult for people to understand.
But to move away from the gambling talk, to get back to my original unrealistic ask, if I made a first-person Call of Duty-like shooter and someone came up to me and said, I don't like this, I would prefer a Total War style game instead, I'd be like, I'm working in a different genre. Go play Total War then. Anyway.
And how many people read their comment. But still, you find that complaints about features are on the rise, and constructive feedback saying, I wish they had done this instead, or I like this in my games, is on the decline. At least at the very minimum, the ratio has been increasing from bad to good.
Yes, but I like to point out that's probably because people feel like they haven't been heard, or at least there is no point in talking. Like, you cannot like, there are really good reasons for this, I think, also combined with the fact that people just gave up. So there are all of the things that he just casually mentions, they are so complex and there are so many reasons for them, and it's kind of pains me that we just coast by them or take them for granted, or like, oh, this is the situation now. No.
The weird thing about this is I see people complaining about features that they can 100% absolutely ignore. Yes, the game has that feature. Yes, the game is 100% playable without the feature, but they complain that the feature exists. Like, oh, it's there. It's looking at me.
Yes. I think that's so reasonable. Sorry, it's just
I don't think he finished. I don't quite understand what point he's trying to make here. So maybe we should just let it play a little bit. He probably finishes the thought.
This comes up a lot about microtransactions. There are games that have 100% cosmetic only microtransactions. People will still complain they're there, even though those transactions in no way make the game easier to play, or it's not pay to win. It's just cosmetic microtransactions. I've mentioned this before, and people's response were, whoa, some of these people are spending or gambling addicts and they can't control themselves, and this is predatory and it's horrible.
Okay, pause. Yeah, so this is basically just, you know how when you have some injuries or severe pain, it can make your body feel like something else is hurting. That's basically that. We have a severe issue in the gaming industry that causes people to turn to severe negativity and complain about not just the issue, but anything else that looks even remotely similar. Because now, you know how when you have a mob that is, or just a protest that is demanding government reform, if you shoot into the mob or disperse them forcefully, next day you will have a revolutionary, like, horde, potentially, that is now going to try to overthrow the government, even though the previous day they were just looking for, like, educational reform. Like, you can make it worse and it just drive people further to extreme positions if they feel like they receive a cold shoulder or a hostile response. In this case, I think people moved more so to, no, a game should just be an upfront payment and that's it, and no other monetization is acceptable, because of just how many incredibly disgusting, slimy, and dirty monetization methods were employed in the past years, it pushed people to the other extreme of like, no, game should be a fully paid one-time purchase, and that's it. You know, I think there is a little bit of pendulum swinging in this case.
I did a fast travel video, and I'll link it below, where I said, well, what about fast travel? There are games. Now, you're right. Some people brought up there are some games that aren't designed well. So if you don't have fast travel, and quest markers are harder to play, but there are a lot of games that you do not need to use fast travel. And they even have some difficulty modes where you can't. But guess what? People still do it anyway. Fast travel was not necessary to play the game or even to enjoy the game, but almost everybody does it anyway. There's no
Yeah,
gambling
but
component.
it's true, but it's always a balancing act between convenience or being there instantly and just moving to whatever the fuck I want to do there, or what would I potentially receive in terms of experience or in-game things if I make this travel myself. Like, for example, in Elden Ring, when I went to Stormveil Castle, I streamed it live on Discord, by the way, for the first time, there was no fast travel because I haven't unlocked any of the graces yet. And when I walked up there, a shitload of things happened to me on the way. But when I explored almost all of Lingrave and like went back to fight the final boss in Stormveil, I teleported there. Why? Because I know at that point that in the game, there are very few unique random events of just, oh, me traveling on the same road again, aside from bumping into a nighttime boss fight maybe. That will give me or counterbalance the convenience of instant travel with the potential of more things to enjoy on the journey. If you make a game where traveling itself is enjoyable and a good experience, then fast travel would become an unreasonable thing to ask for. Again, I'm going to bring up Outward just because I like it. It's a very hardcore RPG. Fast travel
He
in
worked
that
on
game
Outer
would
World,
be-
by the way, I think.
Outward, not Outer Worlds.
Oh,
Outward.
whoops, never mind.
Uh,
Go on.
It's just one word, outward. As in inward, outward. Maybe my accent makes it difficult to hear. Apologies. But that
Say
game
belly.
heavily, belly, there I said it. That game is heavily involved around preparing for a journey, preparing for a fight, navigating via map, etc., etc. In that game, when you go from one city to another, that is an incredibly difficult task, more so than some fights, and you have to plan out the whole thing and prepare for the journey, take what items you take you, buff up, get a good meal, what kind of camp you're going to take with you, or campfire, clothing, medicine, what kind of monsters or diseases can you encounter on the way. All of this is to be calculated. If you were to add a fast travel to that game, you would utterly destroy the gameplay experience. So it is always a balance between convenience, just lore, gameplay experience, what kind of place the world is taking in, all of this. It's a delicate balance, and it's always different. That is just something important I felt like I had to explain because we are going into complaining about fast travel.
I would also take this opportunity to humble brag yet again that I beat Dark Souls at Soul Level 1. And I've Nuzlocked in Pokemon in the past, both of which involve self-imposed restrictions. And I'm not like inherently against the idea of like putting an option in the game to enforce said restrictions, but I would never say you have that Nintendo needs to make a version of Pokemon solely with the Nuzlocke restrictions. So I don't know how many people are out there demanding that. I know in the culture war spectrum of the world, which gets a lot of flack for negativity, and I suspect might be in Tim's mind as he makes this video. Possibly, I don't know. That there are probably more people demanding concrete change across the board. But in terms of things like fast travel, which I would connect to something like a Nuzlocke run or a Soul Level 1 run, I don't see that many people demanding those kinds of things. Does that make sense?
And he has not said what his overall point is yet, right?
So keep listening.
I'm pretty sure that this is not about fast travel. It's just the example.
The complaint. It
put
ties
forth-
into
he
the
put
complaint
forth at
argument.
first. But like, I want to know what his actual argument is, because so far I'm not feeling very compelled by his fast travel.
Yeah, let's
idea.
hear him out. Maybe he'll tie it all together neatly.
And people will then go, well, it's more convenient or something like that. But they will do it even when non-fast travel rewards them by giving them fun encounters or new location discovery. They will still use fast travel, which makes the game
Some of them
a lesser
not all.
experience for them, but they can't seem to bring themselves not to use it. And then
Yeah,
that's
can you
when they
pause
turn
it
around
real
and say,
quick?
well,
I feel like you found the Venn diagram. So this is exactly what I was talking about. But there are people who are very vocal online about doing this one thing, but then they won't actually do it. And people who don't talk about it at all, and then they will do it or either not do it, etc. What he's talking about is that there are people who say, oh, fast travel bad, and then they make a game explicitly, like they make a game like Outward, and then these people go online and download a fast travel mod because they are like, oh, I can't do it, you know. But that is just a slice of the total player base, and especially a significant portion of people aren't just vocal online constantly talking about it. Like, he is correct in that this is a phenomenon that unfortunately exists, just like how people will say, oh, I would totally like trade my life for an ex-dictator, or I would be okay to die if the people will never mass hunger again on Earth or something. And when push comes to shove, they actually don't do it. I think it's the same phenomenon that he is just that he just finds, and for some reason he thinks that it's a fundamental thing about fast travel itself. Or maybe I'm just mistaken, or maybe he'll explain more if I just listen longer. So let's continue.
I think his
experience for
analogy,
them, but they can't seem to bring them.
What's up,
Hold on
Bmo?
one second. So what he's just bringing up is where people can't bring themselves to not do what is optimal. And actually, one of my closest friends that I tried to get into Monster Hunter had the same problem, where we were playing the game. He started to get into his like, oh, I like the gameplay loop and everything, but then there's so much that you have to do to prep for the next one, for the next monster. So what he did is what I never recommend people to do, which is he went and looked up a guide so that he could figure out what the best weapons were, and then that's exclusively what he would use. It's this is just how he is, where it's like, I learned that there is this dodge roll tech that makes my dodge roll better. Okay, I will never not use that because it would be unoptimal to use it otherwise. And that's kind of where he's going with this, is like, if this option is here and people cannot not use it, and then they complain about it, that's where he's having an issue. It's like, why are all these other options in the game when you have to use this? And I can kind of understand where he's coming from.
Themselves not to use it. And then that's when they turn around and say, well, it's the designer's fault. He never should have put that in the first place, which is, again, a whole other discussion of how much handholding do you want? And handholding in this case is, how much should the designer not let you pick and choose how you want to play the game? Should he force you to play it the way that you want to play it and is the way you'll enjoy it, and ignore millions of other players? And I'll get to that, because a lot of you give feedback as if you're the only person on the planet, but you assume your views represent everyone else. But I'll get to that.
That seems like a very aggressive statement.
I feel like that was a direct shot at the culture war.
It's just a human behavior, unfortunately.
I've said before in many
And look, I'll say I have no problem saying a lot of online internet discourse isn't great, and not everyone's great about being able to articulate their ideas. But
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Any videos, if players would only talk more about what they want instead of what they don't want, this would be so much better and so much clearer and so much cleaner feedback. It, first of all, it gives developers a much better idea of how many people want those certain features. If you just say you don't like fast travel, but you don't say what you want instead, they're not sure how to implement that fast travel-less game.
Obviously.
Do you want more encounters? Do you want a paid way of doing fast travel? Do you want a resource-intensive way of doing fast travel? What do you want? Because nothing, doing nothing is 100%.
Pause. This is, I understand his frustration. It's generally with people not explaining how would they want things to be, just complaining about things they are, as he said in the beginning. But this is not new, and unfortunately, it's never going to be different. If you look at Steam reviews or anything that just people give a review on, it's very rare to encounter a person that not only gives a proper detail, but tells you how it could be different. Most people will just say, oh, it's really good, oh, it's really bad, or make funny joke, etc. And yes, they will spam with, oh, fast travel bad, or this thing, and they will not give you, no matter how much you try, a proper explanation for, oh, I would have preferred if they made traveling an experience and something you have to prepare for, with a bunch of optional encounters that can change how factions interact and who owns the settlement or whatever. Like, they are not going to say this because people are simple, or they want to say the quick thing, or it's unfortunate, but it's human behavior, sadly, and just internet things. But I understand his frustration, as I really do, because as a developer, you're looking at it like, well, fuck me, how am I supposed to improve if you're not giving me any good criticism I can use? You're just saying, oh, well, what you made is shit. Okay, how am I supposed to improve? Well, it's shit and you suck. And it's like, thank you, very useful.
I sort of understand what he's saying, but like, again, so everybody is supposed to have like a developer level, like, background knowledge on everything, and they're supposed to tell you like, no, it's the way that you actually coded this is preventing me from enjoying it. Like where he talked about the comedians before. So they have to completely rewrite my joke to tell me, no, I just didn't find that funny. Like, you're getting the feedback of, I don't like the thing that you created. Yeah, it would be nice if you could tell me exactly where you fell off with this, but you're getting the feedback of, this isn't successful. You had this other thing that is. Perhaps you can find the difference between your two things. But
or even more than that, people in creative industries generally have mentors and teachers, directors, and so on and so forth. So you don't have to treat the fans like they are all-knowing industry experts, but you should get at the very least, you can get the temperature of the room. And if 1,000, 50,000, 100,000 people are saying, hey, we don't like this part of the game, you can either do some soul searching or go to your director or your producer and say, hey, this is getting very negative feedback. Maybe we should re-examine this element of the game and see if there are any adjustments we need to make, if this element of the game is pivotal to the experience, and so on.
For sure. And he seemed to be like really down on social media or whatever, that it's just negativity. And, like, you can definitely get more traction with that. Okay, so that's the feedback that they're currently getting. So that's usually single form or single line feedback of, I hate it, this sucks, this is whatever. As opposed to, so now he wants like a page from everybody breaking down exactly what's wrong with it. Like, if they're already not going through the feedback, how would they not go through, like,
you are asking even more about complaining that people don't give you anything. Like, if they are not going, you just said that they are not going to. Like, I understand the frustration, but yeah, I really sympathize with this guy, but at the same time, you can't really do anything, and it's just part of being a developer. I'm sorry, man. This is what it's like. Yeah, but because he's like one of the most veteran developers of all time. So yeah, but I guess If I had to endure this for like decades, I would be frustrated too, probably, and would upload probably more heated videos on the internet complaining about it. So in the end, I completely understand.
He has a lot of really good and interesting stories and videos from game development. I really do
It's
like his
fantastic.
channel.
And giving you not fast travel, but that's probably not what you
I'd
want. You
hang out with
probably
this
want
guy.
something.
What?
I'd hang out with him.
In exchange for not
I don't
having
think he'd hang
fast
out with
travel.
you though.
Probably not.
And if you think this should be as simple as putting a checkbox in saying to turn off fast travel, you can see my video on doing difficulty, where there are people out there that think certain options should be decided by the designer, not the player, and therefore should not be provided in the options menu. They basically say, don't make me decide how to play your game. Just be aware that there's no good solution to this, because there are lots of players out there who want lots of options. They love playing around.
This is the Dark Souls difficulty and accessibility discussion all over again. You can either dilute your resources and try to add the player more control over exactly how much they can tinker with the game in the options menu, which leads to more potentially unoptimized experiences that you couldn't account for or you couldn't exactly envision while developing your game. Or you can focus and home in really hard on one particular slice, like in the Dark Souls games, for example. In Dark Souls 1, the developers knew, okay, when a player is going to reach an Rondo, they're going to have, or even in Dark Souls 3 is better at this. When they say the player is going to reach an Rondo, they have this many Estus uses. They probably have their weapon between +5 and +10. They probably have around this many souls in the bank, potentially, if they didn't just level up. They have this kind of equipment, these consumables and the infusions that they have access to. And that way, they can create the level and the enemies there to specifically account for all of that, thus giving you a more personalized and, in the end, more detailed, hopefully, optimally, more detailed experience, whereas opposed to in Elden Ring, because it's completely open world, the player can go there at whatever level with whatever kind of weapon and whatever type of consumables, and therefore the encounter could be completely unoptimized. You could be over leveled, you could be whatever, and that's still without the difficulty options. Now adding that in and a bunch of other gameplay options, maybe assists, etc., dilute it even more to the point where the developer just essentially at some point loses control over what kind of encounters they can design and how they will feel completely. So yeah, this is an unsolvable dilemma where I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to pick something.
I'm like, oh good, the game lets me turn off the HUD. Oh good, the game lets me turn off fast travel. They want that. They look for that. So there is no good solution for a developer. The problem is when people just tell you what they don't want, it's hard to get an idea of what the percentage is of people who want an alternative. It's like, okay, I know you don't want fast travel, but what do you want? Do you want more random encounters? Do you want a paid fast travel? Things like that. Or if you're tired of me talking about fast travel, I've done 2 different videos on encumbrance. And there are plenty of people who think that how items should be available and what should happen after you pick them up should be handled differently. Read the comment section. I'm not sure people were reading them. People were leaving comments saying everybody hates encumbrance. And then literally the next comment was, oh, I love when games have encumbrance.
Yeah, but that's just people on the internet. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
Yep.
You can look into any comment section, it will be the exact same. Like if we had like, I don't know, 2,000 people watching and had a comment section that is like full of comments and you could scroll infinitely, I guarantee you that there would be a comment saying, I didn't like how Dorkus didn't get to talk that much this thing, and then below at some point there would be a comment saying Dorkus talks too much, I don't know, or the same about me or Bmo, etc. You know, at some point
I definitely talk too much.
But you're just gonna have this. It's the same thing when you look at large groups of people, this is inevitable. This is also the exact same complaint when people say, oh, PewDiePie has neo-Nazis in his audience. Yeah, when you take a sufficiently large chunk of people, you encounter things like this, where no wonder what they are pulled, doesn't matter what they are pulled by together. A person whose content they enjoy, a video game they like, they will have completely contradictory opinions, say the exact same or the exact opposite thing, and some of them will be just batshit crazy. And that's it. I'm sorry, it's unavoidable. I hate it too, man. I hate it too.
I'm not sure people read the comments because there are a lot of comments where people love to say categorically, no one likes this, everyone hates this, right after a comment or before a comment of somebody saying they like it. So please take a look at the comment. In fact, let's talk a little bit about how to comment.
How to comment.
Like I said, I would wait.
Classes in session, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Internet course and internet.
I just want to know what pissed him off.
Session.
I want to know what exactly pissed him off.
You are just curious, like, show me the comment that inspired this video. Do it.
Please. Freaking screenshot it or something. Because, like, he's spanned, what, two or three different subjects now. Has not actually gotten to the do gamers know what they like. I don't think he's going to answer this question at this point. Or I don't think he has an answer for it.
How to comment. Like I said, I would way prefer on this channel and for any forum where you're talking to game developers, say what it is you liked, especially why you like doing that feature. I have an entire video on how to give good feedback. It's called Being Constructive. It's way easier to respond to constructive feedback than non-constructive feedback.
More people need to know that.
What I don't understand is if you really...
It needs to be part of basic human education, by the way.
Okay, but let's say I gave you good criticism, right? A good criticism on how to fix your product, but I called you a fucking bitch too. Is that now no longer good criticism?
No, but it's going to turn people off emotionally and they will not listen to it.
Okay, because this is what a lot of people do.
Yes,
they don't like
I know.
How the person is speaking to them, therefore it's not good criticism.
No, Item Wizard, I'm not staying out of your brain. I already know everything that you know. We are now connected psychologically. Telepathically.
We gotta have another talk about teriology so we can bring on Item Wizard so we can have a stroke again.
You want to get what you want. Say what it is you want. Now, some people just be like, no, I've got to say what I dislike. It's not fair. Saying what you dislike is just as useful. It is if it's specific, which many of you aren't. There is a...
No, I'm just going to keep going.
A video I have called Feedback Needs Context. So you need to watch that. But let me give you the high-level example there, which is if you just go, enemies are dumb, stop giving us dumb enemies. Okay, you just gave negative feedback, but you give absolutely no context.
Yeah, and pause again.
So why do you... I'm sure when you're getting 1,000 messages like that a day, it builds up.
It blows your fucking brain at some point, yeah.
But you don't need to think about the criticism. You can file it away as...
Yeah,
Item Wizard has it perfect. So he's literally like complaining devoid of context right now.
True, yeah. But you can do the Sean Murray thing. Like you can take the incoming when he started his redemption arc. Not obviously the runaway with the money. With the redemption arc of No Man's Sky. When everyone was shouting his head off, he took all of the criticism all the way from the bomb threat, and I will kill you, to the inventory is a little bit too small, and he broke it down to something that he could analyze and his team could implement. That is a very unique skill that very few people can do, but you need someone like that on the team. A communications person, somebody who reads reviews, somebody who's in touch with the community and what they want. And yes, there are going to be these requests that are just blanket, I don't know when, why, does it work? Sometimes enemies have to be dumped when there is so many of them, or even NPCs. I don't know. If they're, for example, in the Hitman games, in some of the missions, there are huge crowds that you walk past. All those NPCs are dumb as fuck. That's the only reason they don't lag out the game, because they don't even have fields of vision. The only thing they can even react to is if you like shoot at them with a gun. Like nothing else will phase them basically, and they will just sit around and do the scripted animation. And even if there something explodes or around gunshots, they run away in basically pre-scripted groups, and they have no fields of vision, very little thing that is going on, because that's the only way you can optimize an entire crowd of people. You turn them into blobs of hive minds with very little going on. So saying don't give us dumb enemies, well, maybe in a Warhammer 40k when like 100 tyrannists burst onto the screen, they gotta be really simple and dumb for performance reasons. Like they will magically always know where you are, and they don't check for line of sight and etc. because otherwise it would lag the game out. You know, like there are these really frustrating blanket statements that can break your brain. Like, what do you mean? Don't give us dumb enemies? Like. Sometimes you have to, but yes, clearly enemy AI is not really a strength of some of these games the big studios put out. But then again, like the commenter could have been so much. It truly would have been a better comment if they said, "My problem is that I don't know, the boss is too dumb, or has only 2 attacks, or doesn't react to what you do, etc." Like that would have been much better than just saying, "Stop giving us dumb enemies." You know, Sorry, that's the little rant concluded.
This is why like shadow play is so cool. Oh, I've been playing this game. Okay, the AI here, these people are not moving. These NPCs are just stuck on walls. That stuff like that's easily like, okay, that's an example that you could give. But a lot of the time, when someone's giving you if someone's frustrated with your game, the context you have is they said enemies are dumb. Okay. Take a look at what that means, or literally
give me a clip of the enemy doing something dumb. That's the best, and then I will understand exactly what you mean. Like if you show me somebody just mentioned the enemies in Star Wars game, like doing grenades at walls and killing themselves or something. Like that's the best kind of criticism that you can do, because you give a concrete case, and it will alert the developer to something is wrong with the script that checks whether or not the enemy should perform a grenade attack. You know. Like that's the best kind of criticism that you can do. Give them a clip, a concrete example. But of course, people don't know that, or don't want to do that, or they are pissed off, or many other myriad of reasons why they just give blanket statements like, "Oh, AI dumb." And it's like, okay, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
This is the solution.
And get playtesters to look into that stuff, to get the professionals to get professional. Well, the funny thing about playtesters is that at least generally, it seems that that's been moved off to like early access.
As part of the culture of just these people that, well, not people, indies do this a bit more elegantly, but big companies deciding to just not do the last phase of development, or do it once the game is out. Indies also do this, but they do this with a much more elegant way. For example, Dorkus would know about this. Subnautica, when it was in early access, they had this brilliant system of you being able to give feedback on the early access, like betas, alphas, demos, etc., or just the not yet full released game that you were playing, at any point by just pressing F3, and you can take a screenshot, exactly what you're looking at, tell exactly what the problem is, give a 1 to 5 appreciation scale, etc., all of this at any point. And using this, you can not only fix pretty much any bug people can complain about, if only technical skill stands in your way, then of course not, but you can find it very easily what they're complaining about. You can also build a heat map of what people liked and what they didn't like, because they will probably just press F3 and tell you something when they enter a new area that they find cool, or one that they find frustrating, etc. Like
that's
this
the same
is
thing
an
that
incredibly effective way that the companies decided not to do. I don't know why CD Projekt Red didn't do this when they released Cyberpunk, probably because they knew it was unfinished and they wanted to spare like even more humiliation. I don't know. I'm doing a bit of mind reading, but this is something that one of the many ways that indie developers can just do let's do the final touch while the game is already out, or let's even do almost all of the development as the game is already out, and somehow yet they manage to do it more elegantly and professionally than these enormous, incredibly wealthy companies, and that is amazing.
You just described the same thing that Hades 2 does. I've been very heavily involved in the beta testing or early access testing for Hades 2 because I enjoy the game a lot, and that's it's exactly what you described. You press the button, put a little comment, and they get back to you within 2 to 3 days. Like directly respond.
So what Darling says here spawns a thought for me. Is this the case where they complained about enemies being too dumb and they solved it by increasing their hit points, or am I thinking another case? So again,
He is not giving any specifics.
Which would help, like just like with the criticisms.
I think Fallout 4, one of the ways in which they made the game more difficult was to turn a lot of the higher level bad guys essentially into bullet sponges
And scaling, which is
and scaling them. One effect of that is that you go through more equipment, more bullets quicker. You utilize more of what you have to beat the enemies. But there are other ways to increase difficulty, like if you restrict the movement space in which you work. So like if there's a lot of space to move around when you're fighting an enemy, you'll have an easier time, say, dodging attacks than if you put the arena, than if you halved the size of an arena, or if you made the screen dark so that it was difficult to see. But it's not necessarily on me. If I had a problem with turning enemies into bullet sponges, it's not necessarily on me to tell you that I prefer less area to move around in as a way to increase the difficulty. It would be on the developer to test a couple of different options for other avenues toward increasing the difficulty, wouldn't it?
I only just saw the Womb Escape Day BMO message that you put on the bottom of the screen. You just remove that right now.
Okay.
Oh my god, I just noticed that too.
Womb Escape.
Am I wrong?
Anyways, continue.
I made my point.
Yes, you did.
But also, just a quick response to that. Well, another thing that really bothered me from Fallout 4 and the way they solved this enemy problem is the way they decided to scale things makes absolutely no sense. Like, how on earth can you kill a Deathclaw with 20 shots from a revolver, but it takes like 400 from a sniper rifle that you picked up earlier in the game, or 800 from a rocket launcher that is legendary and spawns 2 rockets whenever it fires. Like it runs into all of these incredible problems. Whereas opposed to, again, when you make something like Fallout New Vegas, where there is no scaling and it's just this area is that level with this kind of enemies and this weapon does this much damage and can be upgraded with this, then you can precise tailor encounters more. So instead of just saying, okay, Deathclaw, Glowing Sea, that means scale to this much, give them this many extra health points, this many extra attack points, done. Like that is the laziest way of doing difficulty. The laziest way of doing difficulty possible. Like a good example of doing this while scaling is what Elden Ring did in some of the dungeons when you had repeating enemies, but this time these enemies are hiding and they have Scarlet Rot, or they can turn invisible, or now they get back up unless you kill the necromancers, or they put just a little twist on it when you go into high level areas. Like it would have been solved if instead of just same Deathclaw, more health, more attack power, also gets rid of the scaling from the weapons, is a stupid thing. We're gonna give them a Glowing Sea skin, an extra radioactive breath attack. They can hide under the ground and are immune to radiation weapons completely. And I don't know, like do some exercise. Like you can still have a Deathclaw be just another Deathclaw, but tinker it or put an extra spit on it, a little
radiation.
Spice, Yes, just spice it up with a little radiation. Exactly, like mutate an existing being. It's not. You can do it. It's something that Fallout was good at, but now not so much.
So it's not like they can go in and go, hey, programmer, can you click the checkbox for smart enemies? it may be that what you meant was these enemies never take cover. There's cover all over the place that I use, but they never take it. Oh, you want enemies to take cover more frequently. Okay, that's constructive. I can work on that. So think of it as a wish list too. Like imagine somebody came up to you and said,
But that's what focus groups are for, right?
If only.
Or engaging. Like you would have to engage with the commenter, which I caution against because, well, that's how I am, I guess. But you can prod for more information.
Sure, you can.
hey, what do you think Tim Kaine would like for his birthday? If you said he would love a dark chocolate bar, at least 65% cacao, versus he hates white chocolate, what do you think is more likely to get me something I want? The first one, I'm going to get a dark chocolate bar that's at least 65%
Yes, but you're
cacao,
assuming that
which
commenters care. Unfortunately, a lot of them are being human and just saying the thing that they feel right now, and they leave without thinking. Like, I understand that he wants all of these people that play the game that are upset to tell him why, so that he can give them a better experience. And that is really noble. That is what you should strive for, the ideal as a developer. But you have to understand and expect that the human monkey brain is going to be fucking stupid, retarded monkey brain and just do the shit where it just says a mean thing or tell you that what you do sucks, refuses to elaborate, leaves. You know, and it's. I'm sorry. Yeah, I completely understand, and I agree. But it has to be expected. Like, you cannot expect everybody to pay to who commented on your game or even talked about it to have the same like response, the same verbology, or the same talk in the same manner as like somebody who gives constructive feedback or reviews games.
Say, good sir.
Yeah.
Presumably,
Dine game sucks balls.
But I also see value in both answers. Presumably, the gift giver in one example might get you the specific chocolate that you know you like. But the other answer ensures that the gift giver won't give you the one you know you don't like.
Yeah, I think it's a really bad example to use chocolate, and especially dark chocolate. Like, I used to work with this dude he's essentially like a
he's a big
what do you call that? The wine expert of dark chocolate. And he actually like created this entire company where their whole thing was talking about like, okay, this one has notes of, you know, whatever flavor this particular one. He was basically a sommelier of chocolate, where a lot of them had the same cacao, whatever percentage in them, but man, are they different. Where if you asked him, hey, do you want some white chocolate? He hates that. Like, he considers it not actually chocolate. It has no cacao in it whatsoever. It's just cocoa butter. And I don't know, for him, he would take almost any bar of the dark chocolate, no matter what percentage it is, over something that he doesn't even consider chocolate. And it's something that he's really passionate about. So for him, you know, maybe he wants to be surprised by whatever dark chocolate you want to give him, but he would be very disappointed with this thing that is labeled chocolate that he does not think is chocolate. I just think it's a bad example, but I understand. By saying the whatever 63% dark, you're getting a little bit more information. It's a little bit more specific.
You give more information preference. Because you give more. You either give more positive information or positive reinforcement in, oh, this is maybe something that he would like, or you give negative information in terms of definitely don't do this one. Like, both of these are valuable when it comes to gifts. So I agree that I don't think this is a good example. But yeah, I agree with the main point.
And aren't you supposed to not look a gift horse in the mouth? Just be appreciative, man. You're getting a gift.
Depends on who's giving it to you.
Puts it in a range of chocolate that I absolutely adore. But the person who said he hates white chocolate, I may get a Snickers bar. Well, I don't want anyone back on Snickers. Snickers are okay.
Wow.
But you can see that just saying I hate white chocolate, maybe they're getting me a boat. I don't want a boat, but they're like, well, it's not white chocolate. This is why.
Sure, but you didn't get. I
would take the boat.
So
Yeah, I was about to say, would you be upset at saying I wanted chocolate, but then you got a whole boat?
No. I don't want white chocolate. And hey, that boat's not white chocolate, so I'm all good. Like, let's do this. Grab your skis.
And again, as Momasu points out, I understand if you're getting 100, 1,000, 50,000 comments like that, I can understand it would be overwhelming and aggravating.
But isn't that why you hire like the test players, why you hire the beta readers? They're supposed to be having a higher understanding and they can articulate it to you better what issues people are running into. So
Well, one would
they would
hope.
then get the feedback of these enemies suck. Okay, what sucks about it? Let's go to the beta testers. What are they saying? They would be able to articulate this to you on a higher level, hopefully, than just the enemies suck. If not, you need to get better, actual beta testers.
Yep.
Hard for developers to deal with your negative feedback. You're not telling them what you want. Just telling a developer what you don't want. Guess what? The space of what you could want is huge, and you're not helping. In fact, you're in many ways you're hurting because you're jamming up the channel of communication with noise, with unactionable feedback. So you may think, well, this may not help, but it doesn't hurt. It hurts. It jams up communication channels. Now, devs also want to provide games with features that are most wanted, because if you say, I like hot air balloon travel, and you're the only one among millions of potential game players, you're probably not going to get that. Maybe from a solo dev, but you're not going to get a big one. So that brings me to the question of this channel, of this particular video. Do gamers even know what it is they like? And I say this because
Finally gets to the question.
people
11
will say they want certain features, almost that they demand certain features and that they hate other ones. But then the sales figures do not bear that out.
Depends. Really depends. Because it depends on what example you're going to pull up here to strengthen this argument. Because some games just don't sell regardless, and some games have failed because of the response.
There's also some very highly selling games that have some major issues with them. I don't think you can only go off of sales. Like, I think you'd have to look at like feedback, reviews, overall rankings. I don't know, man. It just seems very weird to just go off sales.
So something that Tim Kaine repeatedly says across the bulk of his videos is it always comes down to money. Just so
Okay.
it's but so to bring it in another culture war example, Sweet Baby Inc. is very unpopular right now among a lot of gamers. So if video game companies writ large are seeing the negative feedback of do not hire Sweet Baby Inc. as consultants, the positive version of that would be something like, we want video game companies, not the games, but the companies, to condemn Sweet Baby Inc. Am I wrong in thinking that?
Always wrong in thinking. How dare you?
Yeah, don't feel Dorkus. That's not allowed. Come on.
I mean,
consume product. Get excited for new product. No thinking.
It may be that. I think you'd want to look into the feedback a little bit more, because there's, Sweet Baby Inc. isn't the only company that was doing that. Is it the actual process that people aren't enjoying? So are they wanting to get rid of essentially a consultation company who's coming in there kind of dictating what needs to be?
Right.
And is it just Sweet Baby Inc., since they have like 10 other monikers that they go by, or sub companies, or whatever the hell you want to call it?
And what if you want the company to stop a practice, and don't feel that they need to implement something in its place? If I want companies to just stop hiring sensitivity readers to adjust the games, thinking that will lead to a rise in quality in the games, do I need to frame the question nicer or offer some sort of solution when I think just the solution is to stop the practice?
Well, so it's weird. So to answer your question, that I don't know if they would interpret it that way. I'm not sure if the sensitivity readers or whatever you want to call these companies are necessarily brought in to get it more profit. Supposedly, they're able to stop you from having a scandal, or they will essentially cover it if that scandal takes place.
And the way they talk about it sounds suspiciously mafioso protection.
Yeah, it would be a
And the way they
shame if something
behave
happened to your
too.
business here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's like, you don't want to be called racist, do you?
You don't want a Twitter
would
mob
be a
to
real
come and
shame.
burn down your Twitter home, do you? Yeah.
But I don't know that they're supposed to be the ones to like make more profit by implementing these. I think it's just supposed to stop you from getting a perceived scandal, you know, an unfortunate event.
What if it's not for the not an audience thing, but more specifically, we have this large company that has funded this project that let's say it's our BlackRock, okay? And they require certain stipulations to be made. This must be in here. Everything else be damned. I mean, I feel like that's part of why Hollywood has a lot of issues. Why wouldn't that also affect the games industry?
Yes.
It's a lot less about how the audience feels, because they're banking on this product is going to sell something. I mean,
And
that's the whole Concord discussion, isn't it? Like, who were they trying to sell this to?
Yeah, I think that one's a slightly different one, but yeah. And sorry, the one that was just before that, the big ships comment. So sensitivity readers are just PR companies. It's more involved than that. Like with a PR company, they basically give you like a strategy for public relations. So like if you're going to press, I would recommend this strategy, but you still have the option to take it or leave it. With these companies, specifically like Sweet Baby Inc., it seems like they were given carte blanche to change things to make it appropriate. It seemed like it was more than just like a strategy that you could implement. It seemed more like they were kind of taking over things, from what I understand.
They buy games that don't have the features they claim they demand, and they buy games with features they claim they hate. And I get that, because games are an amalgamation of different features. It may have had some things you want and some things you don't, which is why it could really help when you leave feedback on that game. You say, I bought it because...
Why?
Like they just said, I don't like dumb enemies, and they bought a game where they play against the Zerg and just shoot up enemies that are objectively dumb. That they maybe just didn't express properly what they didn't want, or what they wanted by saying.
What if they just didn't like the design?
Dumb enemies. Yeah, or what if they just really didn't like when an AI made a decision that they thought was suboptimal, or the Zerg do is rush state at you, which is optimal. So that, like, I don't know. This is an issue of communication, in my opinion, entirely. Or not entirely, but this specific example that I gave you about the Zergs and dumb enemy design, that comment could be entirely an issue of communication. You don't know if this person does indeed then go on to play a game with the Zerglings, and previously having complained about, I don't know, dumb AI in fucking Hitman or something, then it is an issue of communication entirely.
Because of these features, but I wished you had these instead. But the reason sales may not bear out what it is you said you wanted is, one, you may be a minority opinion. You may really want a certain feature, but most people don't, or they don't care about it. And you can say everybody wants this, but not a lot of people do. I have a whole video on voiceover about that. And there were people who go, I don't care about voiceover. There are people who say I only buy games with voiceover. And there are people who said, yeah, I sometimes don't buy a game because if everything's voiced, I know it's a little rigid. But the flip side of why sales figures may not bear out your opinion is you may not guide your spending based on your beliefs. And this can be knowingly or unknowingly.
Oh, man. No, move that outside of gaming at all. Like, just my money and my beliefs are two different things. I can talk about how fast food is bad and then go buy Taco Bell. Like,
Yeah, and
so he's basically just saying, well, these people aren't principled, okay?
Unfortunately, that's a vast percentage of the human population.
Sure.
And
It's just funny.
if I having an unpopular opinion doesn't mean I shouldn't be allowed to make that opinion. So if I'm in a minority of people who dislikes dumb enemies, I'm allowed to make that opinion. And presumably, if I can articulate that idea better, I could endeavor to convince people of why, and then maybe build a large enough group of people to hopefully make some sort of difference. I mean, that's the way with most things, right? Is you have to state your opinion in order to convince people of your opinion and affect change you would want, right?
I mean, majority opinion isn't necessarily the right opinion. But I guess that might be a
That
different
too.
conversation.
Wait, why are we
Continue.
booing Kitty in the chat?
Because she was exiled to
Reasons.
South Africa.
Ah, okay.
She's not here.
You
Traitor.
out of why sales figures may not bear out your opinion is you may not guide your spending based on your beliefs. And this can be knowingly or unknowingly. You may buy a game not knowing, you didn't check the reviews and you didn't realize it did this thing you don't like. That would be unknowingly. The knowingly part is when you say you don't want something, but you buy games that have it anyway because they're popular, because your friends are playing it, because it had a couple extra things you did like.
Happens all the time. And this is why you're going to organize a boycott. It's always going to have limited effectiveness.
Wait,
Reminds me
genuine
of the
question.
War Thunder situation, where a vast majority of veteran players who play War Thunder for a long time hate it and want it to either reform or be completely different, but they can't get off of it and continue to play it anyway because they are basically addicted, or there is nothing, or there's a hole in the market, or it has a monopoly on things and there's nothing else that provides a similar experience without all of the horrible slimy practices and just bias and corruption, you know. So this can be for an infinite amount of reasons, and it's very common, unfortunately, for people to not put their money where their mouth is when it comes to video game or feature in video game that they like, dislike.
Also, I know Tim Kaine has a heavy focus on it always comes down to money, but to paraphrase Mark Hamill about the Star Wars movies, just because something makes money does not mean it is inherently good.
Sure. I have a quick question about Mufasa.
Okay.
I thought, did that movie bomb? I remember hearing it bombed.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
are people acting like it didn't bomb? Like,
I mean, well, a bomb for Disney is, you know, relative. Like, it's not like it made $0 or anything like that. But
like it's no John
compared to what
Carter,
it was supposed to
but-
be. Well, no, but the first one was $1 billion movie, so you assume that it would get somewhere close to that.
Yeah, because I
so
keep
you
looking
had
it up,
Lin-Manuel
and it's like-
Miranda jump ship from Moana. He didn't get on board with Moana 2. Instead, he went to Mufasa, and even with that backing, it's not considered a success.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well,
I
guess
just
what?
never saw it, so I
never saw
I
it?
had no intentions of seeing Mufasa.
Well,
I
that's
didn't
the
even
issue.
know it was
I
coming
don't
out. I wasn't even aware it was coming out. Anyways,
All right, let's finish the video
mean,
before Hydra has to go.
Fair enough.
Playing it because it had a couple extra things you did like. Well, guess what? The devs can't figure out what's going on because people said they didn't want this, but the game sold well. One issue is that none of those groups, people who are minority opinion or people whose spending doesn't align with their beliefs, whether knowingly or not, none of those groups are ever going to be well served by big business, by AAA games. And it's because they literally have to go after majority opinion to try to sell better. Occasionally there's a breakthrough where a game that no one expected or ever asked for busts through and everybody loves it. That's rare. And I've talked about with big budgets come less risk. If you have a minority opinion or you're somebody who doesn't spend like you talk, take a look at indie games. There's a ton of them. I'm sure there's one for you. In fact, there are so many games out there, more games than you could ever play. There's more games out there that align exactly with how you want to play games than you could ever possibly purchase or play, and they already exist. So that leads me to the question of why is everybody going online to complain? Because there are a ton of games that you would love. And the only conclusion I have is that you just like doing it. You just like complaining. And if that's you, that's fine. I get it. Just bear in mind, it's not helping you get better games that you want.
A couple of things there.
He's spitting a little bit.
Yeah,
Just a little
sure,
bit.
there are people that complain because they like to complain. Sure, but a lot of times
There's people in this
when-
chat that like to complain.
we love Iron Man, we love the Fallout IP, and we want more of those things. And if the IPs that we love are headed in directions that we don't think is great, we should be allowed to say so, regardless of whether or not we're good at articulating why or why not. And just because the majority of people, we've made this point before, just because the majority of people say they want something does not necessarily mean that that's the best for that thing. It's sort of the counter to your point. If the majority of people said that they didn't want fast travel, but removing fast travel damaged the game in some way, why should you feel forced to implement it just because the majority of people said that they wanted it?
I'm going to bring up a direct example. The Sonic movie. The
Which
design
one?
of Sonic, the original
Oh,
one,
yeah.
the first one. Not the original one, but the first live action one. People complained so much about the design of Sonic that they delayed the film and redesigned Sonic. That was
I remember that.
mass amounts of complaints just talking about how it was a shit design. And it worked
was
out.
more than complaints. It was a meme campaign. It was pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, like they heard the feedback and they implemented it. So I'm just kind of wondering where he expects this feedback to go, because he wants very detailed feedback
Into the blocked comments because he doesn't want to see it.
But I mean, like, are we all supposed to hit that like feedback button or something on the game, or try and send in a ticket somehow to their system? Like, I don't know. It seems interesting because he wants the feedback, but at the same time, he doesn't want people complaining on the internet.
He wants good
Isn't that
vibes.
a way that you get it?
Good vibes only.
It would be far better if you said exactly what it is you want instead of just saying what it is you don't want. And then you have to sit and have that conversation with yourself. Do you even know what it is you want? Do you know what you like?
I want the Outer Worlds to be a top-down strategy game like Risk.
Is that what you like? Or do you just think you would like that? Do you know? I don't know. When he adds that like no part in there, it's like, do we ever truly know? No, we have a feeling that, hey, I generally like this particular type of thing. I mean, I like side scroller games. There's a lot of games that have gotten that wrong. I'm not guaranteed to like it if it's side scroller, but that seems to be where I generally go to. So I don't know. I feel like I can tell you what I don't like very easily because, you know, there is sort of a visceral feeling to that, but am I going to tell you what I'm going to like in the future? I don't know. I can give you general ideas, but I think that would be much harder to actually pinpoint what I'm going to like in the future as opposed to what I actually dislike currently.
I mean,
I don't know. Am I being wrong on that? I guess I'm exactly the opposite of what he's looking for.
Oh, 100%. Most people are better at telling you what they don't like rather than what they like. My mother, as a personal example, has the opposite problem. she she'll say that she likes something and then never give specifics. She won't tell you if she doesn't like it either. She'll just, I like it. Okay, what do you like about it? It's good.
If
That's as far
someone
as it goes.
if
Not very
someone
constructive.
if someone cooks you a nice chicken piccata and you say, "Well, I like spicy food," the solution isn't necessarily to put a bunch of crushed red pepper. So even though
hot
you
sauce.
frame I like spicy food as positive, that doesn't. Yeah,
I don't know.
humble it.
Yeah.
'Cause
No, what you said
still
makes sense. You'd
thinking-
still have to explain it. Like that would still be bad. It would still be not the type of feedback that he's looking for. It's like, you know,
Yep.
I like it when the weapons are effective. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Bmo, you were saying something, and I cut you off like twice.
Oh, it's okay. I'm still not sure. Like he doesn't know what he wants. He said he wants constructive feedback, but then doesn't really provide any examples of what he means by that. Because it seems like he just doesn't want negativity.
I think he does have a video on constructive feedback. I don't know if we have.
Oh, he
time
did
to
say
go
that.
through it.
I think I watched it forever ago, unless it's only a couple months old.
Yeah, maybe we should go through that sometime because it would be fun to think on constructive feedback or whatever. We definitely
so, yeah.
get far too little of that in every industry.
But I think it's like he tried to go through the point of the video. It took him over half of the video's length to actually get to the point that he had the thumbnail for, the title for. And I feel like he didn't answer anything, didn't come to any conclusions other than I don't like
Doesn't
people
sound like
complaining.
very constructive feedback. Can you tell me what exactly he should know? Yeah, I mean, like he could have teased it more at the beginning and then kind of wrapped it back around to his point. I think that would have
This could have been an
clearly
email.
laid a path for where you're going. Yeah, yeah, fair enough.
It's just maybe it's just he is older and is just tired of the large amount of people that are giving him feedback or trying to talk to him. Because I mean, I don't have this problem. Like I get a variety of feedback, both constructive and unconstructive, but probably not nearly to the degree that he does. Maybe it's just a pure saturation issue for him.
Do you think
'Cause
he
I
gave you
love
constructive
criticism.
criticism on how to
Hell no.
criticize?
Hell no.
Hmm.
Actually, I think I have enough people that bust my balls as is. Like I don't think he taught me on how to take the busting of the balls.
I
So
don't know if that was the point of his video.
I don't think so either, honestly.
To bring this sort of into, again, that culture war element at play here, it does bring to mind the Vera Dark David Jaffe drama that happened, I think, about a month ago. And this perception that there is a lot of contempt for the fans toward gamers. And it's kind of hard to refute that idea when developers frequently, seemingly, go after fans in vitriolic manner. And it could, to one of Tim's earlier points about whether or not Discord or discourse has changed in modern times, the advent of Twitter and so on certainly allowed for more voices to be heard. So again, all my empathy to people that feel like they're being bombarded with negative criticism frequently, but I don't think the response, if you work in the creative industry, is to respond with vitriol. Just say thank you for the feedback. I'll consider it, or thanks for the feedback. Okay, and then go do what you're gonna do regardless. But it
Why does timeout delete all the messages?
or the
It looks so weird. I just timed him out for 1 minute.
Who are you
Anyways,
timing
carry on.
out? What?
Oh, Moemasu.
I completely missed that. I wasn't looking at the chat.
Oh, don't worry about it. Anyways, what were we talking about?
if developers respond with vitriol, and then of course then you are in part contributing to the culture of negativity, and we can play the chicken or the egg with regard to who starts the negativity, but the fans who are negative aren't the ones complaining about negativity. So it would be on the people complaining about negativity to respond with positivity rather than engage with negativity. So
Or
responding
at least
with
try to do
vitriol,
something other than engage with negativity, because clearly that's not good enough. Not solving the problem.
So please,
You don't always have to
developers,
pretend the sun is shining or someone tells you to fuck you, you suck, take it up the ass, get fucked, hope you die of cancer, and say, thank you, sir, that was a very insightful criticism. I will consider it next time I make a game. You don't need to do that. But if one thing
Kind of depends on
you
your
do all the
job.
time
If it's
doesn't
customer
work, maybe
service,
it's
you got
time
it.
to try something
Yep.
else.
You kill him with kindness.
indeed.
Just so happens to be the bat that you have labeled kindness. So, anything else to add to this? I feel like we've kind of played this out.
So the chat brought up a dog collar incident.
Oh, fuck off.
All right.
It's an inside joke between Moemasu and I.
Sure it is. Sure.
And it will remain so.
Not an outside collar joke, but an inside.
Not an
one.
outside. No.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Anyways,
Well,
that
I
threw
think
me the fuck off.
what?
That threw me off.
I don't know that. I mean, we made it through the topics that we more or less determined we were going to cover today, I think. And I know
Yeah, we got
Hydra has
about-
to go soon.
We got about 30 more minutes. What do you want to do?
We could Gartic phone.
Which I don't have time for because I'm about to leave. But you guys, three of you and the audience could definitely do some.
There's another
topic.
topic actually I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
Community notes.
Ooh.
Yes.
So it sounds like
Zuckerberg video.
Facebook is going the direction of community notes rather than fact checkers. What do you guys think about that?
What was the what was their previous attitude in terms of fact checking?
They hired biased fact checkers. Facebook.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot because Facebook,
Like the
Facebook,
Anti-Defamation
everything has to
League?
be human, right? Yeah. So
Well, and it wasn't just community notes. Like they were just like straight up bans on certain subjects, and if you bring them up, like posts would be deleted or you'd straight up get banned. There were a whole lot of groups that got banned off of there for one member.
ironic
something.
considering the fact that they had what was it called? I forgot what the exact nation this was in, but they had nobody on the moderation team who spoke that nation's language or even understood what was going on, and that resulted in like Facebook being used by that nation's government to basically commit a genocide, and like concentration camps having Facebook pages and whatnot, and just the most vile people using Facebook to organize and stuff. So it's kind of ironic for these people to, instead of working on maybe a moderation system that doesn't have these kind of flaws, to be like, no, we need to ideologically align with what we already have. Again, I'd much rather prefer the community notes system. I'm not saying that's perfect. I'm not saying it can be biased, etc. But it's clearly much better than just banning people, because even though what they are saying can be objectively incorrect lies or hurting people, banning them will mean that they are moved to a space where they will operate uncontested. This is for the same
But
reason
they
I
said something
oppose.
mean.
This is the same reason I oppose having like Nazis for pushed off of platforms, because that means they will be able to operate with impunity in obscure or ridiculously like extremist places when very few people can call them out on their bullshit. Or even if you do like a video that is about these places, even if criticizing them, you will get yeeted from YouTube for it. And I don't like that, because I think humans need to develop more of an immune system against extremism. So yeah, that's my opinion. TLDR. I'm saying it quickly because I have to leave in a couple of minutes. So I'm just pushing everything into a nutshell and giving you to concentrate.
There, I haven't exactly looked into it or anything, but it sounds like the community notes system on X has improved the ability for countervailing points and suspiciously missing facts to make themselves known.
Yeah, it's much better than what they had before. I think a lot of people, almost everyone, agree on that. I think,
And
except
it's led to
maybe
a
the
bunch
people
of
get
memes.
community noted.
Just man,
What?
some of the community notes, they're just very meme worthy. You get that
Oh,
gift
yeah.
of it too, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm more in favor of that because you get to see what somebody would actually community note.
I do know that there are a lot of folks on the conservative side bitterly making the point that it's oh so convenient that Zuckerberg decides to make this change now as opposed to, when it mattered. But how genuine is Zuckerberg's seeming?
He's not genuine at all. He
shift?
didn't do nothing when
He's a
Facebook
lizard
was used
man.
to commit genocide. He's just doing it in response of like you are looking for genuinity at the wrong person. Zuckerberg is the person who sold out his own friends and basically his own family just to make, or people he would consider family at one point in life, just to make what is now Facebook and get rich, dilute their shares, etc. Like, you are looking for genuinity in the wrong place. That man is not a good person. And he doesn't even know what proper social relationships look like, but he owns the social relationship platform, so we are fucked.
If you are going to change something as big as this, though, like, would you want to risk, if you're the head of one of these social media companies, would you want to take that risk on knowing that you could be to blame no matter which way like an election goes? Or do you just wait till kind of after the season to, I kind of don't fault him for when he chose it, but yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I don't think I would take that on the shoulders of the entire company that you might be the reason that this election was stolen or whatever, especially after last time where Facebook specifically, they pretty much removed everything and I think held Washington Post essentially hostage until they took off the Hunter Biden laptop thing.
I remember that.
Around
Yeah.
the last election.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think you'd want to be kind of cautious and try and avoid any scandal, but yeah, it might have led to a different type of election had it been prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Censorship bad most of the time.
Censorship bad.
We all draw the line at a different place with censorship. There are things we would obviously all want censored, and there are things we obviously don't want censored.
Like Bmo.
And I know that a bunch of people in the comment section say, no, censorship is always bad. I am a free speech absolutist. But then these people don't examine their own positions critically enough, and then come to realization that being a free speech absolutist would instead mean that they will be okay with child porn on Facebook, for example.
Yeah, I think you go free speech within the means of the law, but even then, I don't know. Are you going to go letter or intent?
Oh,
yes,
that's
but
true,
it's
though.
just very, like, it is a very complex topic that's difficult to talk about, and a lot of people are not
For sure.
willing to have that difficult conversation.
That does bring up the topic of, is Facebook a publisher or a speech platform?
They're
Yeah.
a speech platform.
Town Square.
Definitely they're a speech platform, but they
Well,
to try and do publisher behavior.
So would you consider them ever to be the town square? Like at this point, I think it has definitely shifted away from Facebook. I think due to a lot of that censorship that they had, but I don't know. When I hear about Facebook now, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's where I'll find like my parents, or that's where it seems like it's definitely an older demographic. It does seem like it's kind of switched away from that. I don't know. Do you think there was a time where they would have been essentially the public square or whatever, where they would have been less of a platform,
so.
more of a? Do you view Twitter the
mean-
same way? Is that more of a public square currently?
I definitely view it as such.
Yeah, I mean it's where anyone can presumably make an account and start talking about whatever within the bounds of the law they want, right? And yeah,
So
yeah.
Claiming that they don't do publisher behavior is a very strange one. And Wallace just brought that up. So Facebook actively suppressing subjects that are not restricted from being spoken about on the platform feels like publisher behavior of heavily curating what is allowed to be seen.
I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, the
Like-
ads thing. One more thing quickly. The 8 out of 10 people talking about in the chat. One of my favorite series on YouTube is nothing but a compilation of the funniest scams on Facebook Marketplace. Like that
bet.
place is famous for being shit. Absolutely, because you can. I'm sorry, it's like a comedic masterpiece, that series, but it's just. And it is voice acted for all the different people that are trying to scam you in different ways, and it's so funny. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite series on the internet. Man, yeah, and just generally the quality of ads on YouTube and Facebook have declined to the point where the fucking FBI is telling you to use ad block because otherwise you are under danger, or the things that the ads depict are so vitriol and disgusting that even if you uploaded a video about them, that thing would get dinged for obscene content. And it's just scammy, disgusting, and incredibly dangerous. Yeah.
I mean,
Be
Facebook
careful if you
Marketplace
go
is
to any of
wild.
these places,
I know
with
this firsthand.
intent.
Like,
But anyway,
I'm,
that's all the time I have for today, so I'm gonna have to leave. But
aw.
yeah, good
You
time.
joined us for a minute.
Yeah, thank you guys
Very-
for letting me be here, and more game lab conversations. Nice, love them. And see you guys in the chat, and hopefully I'll have more time next time because I always have to leave and go early and whatnot.
Good
So,
morning,
see you
good
guys.
evening, and good night.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
appreciate the time you give us, sir. It always,
Yeah.
adds to
Hydra.
everything and colors it in the best way.
I try to squeeze out most of my free time for you, even when I'm not really that well. See you guys. See you.
Hydra.
See you, sir.
But
アーニャンチ
そうだ。
Only 2 fingers extended. Your other ones have to be.
お前はもう死んでいる。
Yeah.
必殺パンチボカーン
okay, that was something.
Oh,
It's
come
been a
on.
while since I've
Spy
seen that.
Family. It's great. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that should be like a future thing. Like, what is essentially like publishing behavior? Because I think I would completely disagree with you, Bmo, where you're saying like if you have something that's off limits. I don't know. That might be worth digging into a little bit
I'd be down for that
in
conversation.
the future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
I
fun
think-
thing.
I also want to have a conversation about free speech absolutism because I did not agree with Hydra's description there. Because I don't think child porn would be allowed if free speech absolutism was what he was saying it was. Because no, I definitely don't think so. It's about harm.
Talking about that or
No,
Or-
he said posting it.
posting. Okay. Yeah. No, that's not free speech. That's a crime.
Yes, but I would love to have a conversation about that because that kind of goes into the conversation about slurs we had at one point. That I want to revisit because I think that we didn't get everything out of that conversation. But yeah,
Fair enough. And then what was the one that Tim brought up? Was
the
it
Tim Kaine constructive criticism.
constructive feedback? Yeah, constructive
Someone write this
criticism.
in the Discord
Yeah.
so we don't forget. Yeah.
I will.
Oh, I've already
And-
forgotten.
Write a note for
I wanna
us
say the
to talk to Charles about the stand-up element.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Charles about standing up. But yeah, I think there's kind of further on each of those that we can kind of go. I know I want to kind of explore my own thoughts on it. I don't know. I definitely disagree with a lot of people on the whole free speech thing, but then I don't know. That might be a good one to also get into the platform thing, and I guess platforming in general, because I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
I see.
Wahoo!
Wahoo!
Yeah. Wahoo!
Too much. I do not remember doing the Mario Wahoo, but it's there on camera.
Wahoo!
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was wearing a sugar glider at the time, so good times.
How are they?
They're doing great. Separate but equal. They're doing good.
Separate
Good.
but equal.
I don't know. Two of them turned on the third one and just kind of kicked her out of the colony, which really sucks. So
That is
I have her in a
unfortunate.
scarf a lot. But yeah, she's doing good.
All right. So we got anything else, or do we want to just start signing off?
I'm
If we can sign off. I mean, my face has been shown. What more is there?
It's a good question.
Bmo, what do you have going on?
I know that I am currently moving. I'm moving stuff actually today. But in the coming 2-3 weeks, I should start streaming again. And I don't know what I'm gonna come back and stream with. It might be Final Fantasy 16. It might be Lies of P and just continuing where we were. We'll see.
Gray, what do you have going on?
Oh, cool. I am not muted. Sorry, I was trying to respond to Patrick's Sausage Fest, and indeed, nothing but the best. Yeah, so I've been supposed to be doing this awesome stream with Charles, but something seems to keep getting in the way. So hopefully we'll have that kind of
Charles?
year-end wrap-up. Not necessarily Charles. Also, God is getting in the way, smiting all of us. So I don't know. There's things, natural disasters preventing us from doing this, but one day we will explain what our favorite movies and least favorite movies of 2024 were, and we will have a big guest on there as well. So go over to Charles's channel at Willisgredia, YouTube at Willisgredia, and watch Show Business, where he will talk about the latest box office, which currently is not much, but then you will also get this amazing what our favorite films were. However, I'm also doing that independently, since we're only going over 3 of them on that thing each. I've got a good top 10. So yeah, I should have those videos out pretty soon. Didn't really want to steal the thunder from that particular stream, but I think that's going to have to happen. So yeah, look for videos out soon. What about you, Dorkus? What do you have going on, sir?
Over on the No One Asked You podcast, we've got Storming the Archives airing on Tuesdays and Ascension Unleashed on Sundays. I've taken steps to hopefully get a third show airing at some point, maybe in the next month and a half. We'll see. And I'm sure there is a list of live streams we'll be doing down the road. We're going to finish the Elantris live streams. There are 2 more parts for that, and we've got some more fan casting, a lot of stuff going on over on my book channel. So
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
Thank you all for tuning in, and